riding down the high weirdness road, chasing every story nobody's told. Muppets in the backseat, vampires in tow. JJ Vance on the high weirdness road. Cold case counties and abandoned towns. Something in the shadows keeps swirling round. CIA bots shouting, "Who killed Bill Cosby?" JJ just laughs and cranks the sound. Where the timeline's bend and the truth gets loud, and the moon looks wrong behind a wandering cloud. If the vampire strike, well, that's just how it goes. He's riding down the high weirdness road, where impossible things are the stories he's old. From hidden hollers on a foggy night to the America's wasteland, heartland. JJ Vance on the high weirdness road. He's rolling down the high weirdness road, chasing every phantom the archives hold. Truth gets strange, but he won't let go. JJ Vance on the high weirdness road. Yeah, JJ Vance on the high weirdness
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. This could be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers, some don't. Really want to respect all ways of life. But if this is appealing to you, just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination. I'm getting a very good feeling about vaccination right this moment.
Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here coming at you live from my studio / home on the range, located deep inside Big Sky Country. I'm a bison rancher now. In the great state of Montana. First of all, are you folks telling me there's a burger element to all this? Yeah, once again, your host, JJ Vance here, right there in the corner, right there on the screen. Host of Operation GCD. And I repeat, not the vice president. Do not vote for me, folks, in 2028. I'm too busy hunting vampires. Anyhow, we'll be your pilot navigator for tonight's shenanigan-infused journey into the mind of this particular garbage can dude. And it's not an April Fool's joke twist. I am live / live right here. Here we go. There you go. Good to see you there, Gerald Hall. I have not blasted off anywhere, but we do got a real barn burner here on deck for you all tonight. Not gonna lie to you. Troublemaker Jones is the one who actually kind of initiated he incepted my brain hole with this thought. Has the topic of this month's film reviews. Last month was March Madness, Tom Cruise March Madness. This month, celebrating the IRS's, those terrorists, those domestic terrorists, the IRS, holding everyone's finances hostage, celebrating that. April 15th, we'll be doing, that's 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be doing The Producers, which the plot of The Producers, which was Jonah's suggestion, is the idea of money laundering, making a film that you intend to not be a good film, for the sole purposes and intent of laundering financial, the financial proceeds from hood rat shit, various hood rat shit, gun trafficking, people trafficking, drug trafficking. Arnon Milcon comes to mind. Uncle Ted in the chat's usually bringing him, up in the chat. He's a Hollywood financier of many, many films and was directly involved in Iran-Contra. Yeah, money laundering, drug trafficking, gun trafficking, people trafficking. I agree, Lucy Morningstar. Very sus. So anyhow, we got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. So thank you all for joining me to get a little GCD. Got a fun-filled panel here on deck. Phil Z's secret agent of the Dewey Decimal System. Glad you can get off of shift and duty there with the folks at the Dewey Decimal System, sir. Thank you for joining me to get a little GCD for your very first time.
Happy to be here. Good to see you, JJ.
Absolutely, sir. You always have some real barn-burning insight on a lot of books in film medias, and I do appreciate the insight, sir. So I flashed not the bat symbol, but the book symbol, which is your new logo I put there, so get your attention to join me here tonight. So I appreciate it, sir. Was this the first time you've seen tonight's film, Lucky Numbers, the 2000 cinematic mediocre masterpiece, Lucky Numbers?
I've seen. So here's the thing. So I've seen it a few times.
All right.
Remember it pretty well. So last night I literally got through about more than halfway, and then I was like, you know what? I remember enough about the movie where it's kind of like, all right, I'm good. It's funny. Is it a cinematic masterpiece? Well, it's no Battlefield Earth, so there's that. But
right.
you had the potential for this to be a decent movie, but it's a notorious flop. I mean,
yeah, it was a big flop. I totally agree with you. It had some comedic elements. They did some great character development in the film. They just never really pulled it all together. That's why I kind of call it a cinematic mediocre masterpiece. Because they tried. I mean, Bill Pullman kills it in this film, literally.
Oh yeah,
as the apathetic police detective who doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, doesn't want to do his job. Nope.
Oh, I've worked with a lot of folks but that character, uniquely reminds me of, like, I'm not going to do that. It's too much paperwork,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was, I mean, when he's literally gets caught, on, basically working on disability, because clearly he faked it or he's malingering. But when he's got to go look into the case of the missing bookie, and he's like,
right.
He's like, where do I find him? Well, that's what you got to do, like you got to do a little detective work there. But Bill Pullman, I mean, that was probably one of his funniest comedic roles going back to like probably Ruthless People, in terms of just playing.
He kills it. He's just he just doesn't want to do anything as a police detective. Like he's like even when he, like you're saying, he gets assigned a case, and they're like, no, you're the detective. You're supposed to go detect.
Yep. Well, I said then you have the other half of it, which is Michael Rappaport, who I think ruins pretty much most of the movies he's in. So him being in it, I mean, I can't with him. Nope. He's
he plays the perfect idiot, but he does ruin every scene he's in, just about. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's a rough watch. I mean, in a movie when Michael Moore has a small role in it, and Michael Moore is not an actor in any way, I said I think Michael Moore was better than Michael Rappaport.
I don't disagree. His creepy masturbation discussion with his cousin, played by Lisa Kudrow, is a bizarre, dark element, comedic element to the film. But I think they were trying, like, there's a lot of zinger lines, I think, for Michael Rappaport, and he just wasn't delivering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who's your favorite baseball player? Oh, Carl Yastrzemski. Oh, and then he's got nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you just put him in. There's not much that I've ever really liked him in, because I feel like he's a one note character in everything he's ever in. It's like, it's even a movie like Copland, where
that's what I was going to say. That's his best role, because he gets fake killed at the beginning, and then you really see him from the end.
Yeah, I mean it's the same one-dimensional role. That's like he's up there with.
He does very much play the same character, you're right, as he did in this film, kind of a hood dude.
Yep.
He was a cop in that film, right? He's a cop, and he got involved in the shooting, right?
Yep.
That's a decent movie. It's kind of like a like an old Western style film, but it's a bunch of cops in New Jersey.
Yeah, well, funny enough, that just popped up last week on like the X timeline where people were talking about like reevaluating it. I'm like, first of all, I saw it in the theater. Stallone was great in that movie. Leota, Harvey Keitel. I said it was a great movie, but just didn't get any.
Even that director
traction.
fella who doesn't act too well. I can't think of his name right now. Pete, is it Pete? Maybe not Pete. He's one of the cops there in the crew. He normally directs films. He normally doesn't act. He's a rather crooked fellow there.
Trying to think.
I'd have to look it up. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Peter Berg.
Peter Berg, yes, sir. That's it. Peter Berg. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew it was in there somewhere. I was Pete, and I said Pete. I was like, yeah, Pete and repeat. I'm like, that ain't it. That ain't it at all. Pete.
Yeah, he wound up, I think, better off as the director than
Keitel was good in that. Even give De Niro credit for his shitty role in that film.
Yeah. Well, Stallone supposedly, I think, consulted De Niro on his weight gain for that because Stallone, I think, gained like the Raging Bull weight plus, like what De Niro did for Raging Bull, and then I think added an extra 10 pounds. I think he gained like 60 pounds for the movie.
He was looking pretty beefy in there. Speaking of beefy, I don't know how that's not really a segue that means anything. I apologize.
Look at these fucking
welcome to Operation
Look at these biceps. Did someone say beef? Where's the beef? No.
I didn't know we were doing a post. I hope we don't have to get a little into this.
Sorry, but my wife, that's why my wife married me, was when oh, shit. No. Just teasing. Good evening, gentlemen.
No, I appreciate the humor, sir. I'm not gonna flex back. We're not doing a.
No, it wasn't one of those. It wasn't like let's arm wrestle. It wasn't like let's arm wrestle. It was more of a.
That's the question I always say. And I used to get that all the time when I was still in every unit I go to, I transfer to. There would always be 10% of the unit. Like, how much bench? Yeah, I just saw it coming every time.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And benching, I'm like, nah, I'd rather not bench anything.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Isn't it cool? I have a friend that just fucking loved to bench. Loved to increase his weight. He was a weightlifter.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I can move a substantial amount of weight. That's not my point. It's a weird pitching contest that folks like to get.
Yeah, mine either. Exactly. That's why I brought it up. But I am fantastic.
Well, I was about to say, we're encroaching on that territory now. If you're ready to go, sir, we can do this.
I'm so glad to see you guys this evening. That comment you made about Bill Pullman, love Bill Pullman. One of my favorite Bill Pullman.
Right? So is this the first time you've seen this? Have you seen this before?
I may have, but forgot it, but maybe not. So it was all fresh. Bill Pullman, though, all-time favorite movie from him was Serpent and the Rainbow, which is just fantastic.
Tell me about that.
He comes in later on, because I like to do the voodoo films. Come on for that one, Phil, if you get a chance, because I love your knowledge of
mafia. It'll be horror month again on Halloween, so all covers.
Yeah, we'll do a voodoo thing closer to Halloween or whatever, but that's always a good one. Bill Pullman, classic.
That was a good one we did.
The Believers, he wasn't in that though. Yeah, that was another voodoo movie.
That was a good. I'm saying last October we did the sorcery one of voodoo varieties, right?
We had all the best devil movies going. I like your new series, JJ, on devil shit. Everybody goes to. Yep, devil shit. Where are they now? Everybody go subscribe to JJ's part of this show that's telling you about the devil shit that was going on, where they are now.
I appreciate that, sir. As always, much like every show, we're brought to you by the folks at Jar of Mayonnaise here. Support local science store. I appreciate the plug there, Todd. Folks can find out my Thursdays Anatomy of the Satanic Panic and my Sunday shows over there at patreon.com/.
No, I love that new addition you put on there. Where are they now? The countdown. Yeah. Top 10. Ooh, top 10.
Where are they now? Thank you, sir. I like to add a little bit of humor, aim to educate and entertain. Speaking of aiming to educate and entertain, we got ourselves a doctor in the house. Dr. Inferno, welcome to Operation GC.
Right on.
What's going on? I was told this is a review from Marty Supreme. Am I in the wrong stream? I heard this is Marty Supreme.
Sir, we have 427 tacos ready for your pickup.
Oh goddamn! I thought this was Marty Supreme. Yeah, I think Chalamet did a great performance. I think he deserved the Oscar. I mean, the goddamn
so this is Taco Bell order. Taco Bell
Oh shit!
order.
Oh shit! You mean this is not
here in
Marty
the future,
Supreme?
every restaurant's Taco Bell.
Oh goddamn! I thought this was Marty Supreme. Anyway.
Is that a sour cream situation you're talking? Because the new year of New York City,
lettuce, tomatoes, sour cream.
The Oscars didn't like it too much, so I guess it wasn't too good. One battle after another seemed to have won. Quite unfortunately.
Of course it did. Had all the worst actors and all the worst DEI scripts.
Well, I have to say, believe it or not, this movie's not the greatest, but it's better than One Battle After Another. That movie sucked.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. One Battle After Another was the worst.
Yeah, it's the Paul Thomas Anderson film, right? Based upon
Sean Penn and hold on, JJ. Sean Penn and Leonardo DiCaprio should go hang their heads in shame after this one for a little while, and please don't bother us again.
I think
was awful too.
Yeah, I think he just wanted the paycheck at this point in his life.
Right.
He didn't read the script. Yeah,
I feel like a pinch on book with Paul Thomas Anderson. There's probably a lot of money behind that.
There you go.
Oh, yes, it made a killing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean,
allegedly.
I don't know what the numbers are. How much? What did they spend on it? I mean, it's just because when you're throwing money around, dude. When I say you're throwing money around, dude, like those stupid Guardians.
It made $1 trillion.
Lucky numbers. But
you mean this is like? You mean to tell me this is not Sinners? This is not Sinners? Oh man, I'm in the wrong podcast.
This is
Thank God.
Starring John Travolta. Xeno's the second favorite actor in Hollywood, and a fellow who likes to get a little bit too handsy with the young men, if you know what I mean.
Anyway, thanks for bringing me on, JJ.
JJ, can we see that picture again of you and John Travolta?
Oh, absolutely. You want to see how awkward it is? Because it's a super awkward photo when he started getting real handsy with me in a remote aircraft hangar.
Yeah, that one. That one.
But
later on,
I'll bring that up here. I appreciate you all joining me tonight to get a little GCD. I appreciate you folks of the interwebs here as well. We're discussing the film Lucky Numbers from the year 2000. Seems like a couple decades ago. Oh shit, it is a couple decades ago. But I see that movie when it first came out on the VHS back then. I got it probably at a Blockbuster or whatever. Or the old was it called Hastings video rental? It was I think it was more of a West Coast outfit, but they had one here in Great Falls when I was stationed here 26 years ago when this film came out. But one of my roommates at the time was from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. For some reason, he was super hyped about this film. He had been the one that rented it, and I had just inadvertently watched it, but because it was on in my house, you know what I mean, in the living room. So I was never hyped to see it from the beginning, but I remember thinking at the time, Bill Pullman killed it. And when I rewatched it again the other day, I was like, man, Bill Pullman killed it, this film.
Very funny. Very funny.
He's the most apathetic police detective possible, and it's I remind me of so many folks I work with.
That was the realest part of the movie. One of them.
Oh, and it really was, because this is based on an actual auto scam, right? So while this film was a big bust in the box office, and it speaks to this idea of using a shitty film for money laundering purposes, this could be a perfect vehicle for that, but it's also based on a lottery scam, loosely based. Very loosely.
Very loosely.
I think the only thing they got right was the 666, right? Was the winning numbers, right? That's like
only part. Only part.
I mean, true story aspects of the film. But that was, they rigged the lotto and they had the numbers 666. They filled them with paint.
Because when you're going to rig a lottery, JD, the first number you think of is 666, right?
So
no, but I'm saying if you did,
I'm a bison hunter or a bison rancher.
I'm not rigging
any lotteries.
If you did rig a lottery, the first number that would come to your mind is 666, right?
It's an aspect of this whole affair, right? It is one rooted in reality. That the 1980 lotto scam from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This one's taking place in Harrisburg, but it's very interesting. But to this point of like all this money laundering, the amount of money they spend on films, those Guardians of the Galaxy films, they gave Vin Diesel like $20 million. He doesn't even appear on camera nor use his voice. That little raccoon, he plays the tree, I believe.
He's Groot.
Thank God he wasn't on camera. Yeah.
He just says Groot. That's all he says.
And he's getting $20 million to be a CGI tree that says Groot, dude.
Oh, they didn't give him $20 million to not appear in the movie?
Right.
Yeah, that's what they paid him to not be there.
Cooper,
He's just a tree that goes.
Bradley Cooper got like $30 million to be the raccoon fucker, right?
There you go. There's money for you. It's like Oprah's passing out millions of dollars.
So they're waiting that $50 million out the door. They're not even your lead cast in that film.
Yeah, but they had a lot of big actors.
Well, if you want to know a director that really,
dude, you kidding me? Dude, Kurt Russell was in the sequel, buddy. You kidding me, dude?
Holy shit! There's a sequel.
If you want to know a director that really takes advantage of like the tax write-off, it's Uwe Boll. You ever heard of him? Uwe Boll.
Oh yeah,
the guy's he's a German director that he just takes video games and directs them. It's absolute dreck.
How do you spell this?
UWEBOLL.
Yeah.
U-Boll?
Yeah, Uwe Boll.
Yeah, Uwe
Boll.
B-O-L?
Yeah.
Man, I don't even want to look up guy's name.
I feel like you're sitting down some weird rabbit hole, dude.
No, I'm just kidding.
Are you is this an April Fool's troll, dude? Is that what's going on?
I think one of the movies he
I'm not falling for the tricks, Dr. Inferno.
He did a movie called like Postal that I think was based off
I
a
wish
video
it was.
game.
Yeah, Postal. Yeah. It's about a homicide. It's based on a video game.
Oh, God.
It does sound like a made-up name, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe it's a European version of Alan Smithy when you don't want to take credit for the turd you just dropped, you know?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Put an E on the end, like
He just
Joseph.
does it for the text. And if the movie challenges you to a boxing match.
Where is it? What a dumb fucking name.
What's that?
I can't agree with you more there, Gerald Hall. So now that's a good point. That's a good point you're posting and they're filling the chat. So yeah, they allegedly made $10 million at the box office, $60 million in budget. That's not marketing. Marketing, in my understanding, the low end of marketing in Hollywood is 20% of your budget. So if that's the case here, that's $12 million. That's $72 million. They make 10 some change back.
Yeah.
Right. That's a right. Wait, how do you write that off? What do you like? How does that work? You know what I mean? Like, we're done with it.
There's a lot of complicated.
A lot of different production companies. Like, if you see a movie now, you see 5 or 6 production companies to make one movie. This isn't like, it used to be where it could be like, okay, it's Universal. Now it's like, it's Universal. It's maybe like Apple. Like an Apple. Subsidiary. You have all these companies involved, and it's like, I'm sure it's probably to defray the cost, but maybe it's also to a little bit of financial shenanigans in some.
I assume that's exactly what it is, because you can just shuffle more of the money around between these different entities, right? And each time you move the money around for each function, you're like, oh, there goes 10%. There goes 10%.
You could turn it into an Enron thing,
One of the problems is running secret operations that no one would approve of if they were, asked their
How do you
opinion
know
about.
these things, Todd? What kind of secret operations are you talking about?
I'm just saying, one of the problems with that, trying to do that, is how do you get the money and don't let everybody know you're doing it, because it's going to take a lot of money to stuff these guys' pockets full. I love JJ that you brought.
I was this close to doing the film Get Shorty on the same topic tonight.
Get Shorty, great movie.
But you can show the shady world of financiers behind Bob Cocaine Evans and the head of the Medellin cartel with the Cotton Club murders, Roy Braden's murder.
Chili Palmer.
Chili Palmer. Chili Palmer's a gangster. They're working with another gangster, right? But they're taking money from some Colombian gangsters, right? Gene Hackman's character, the producer.
I wonder what Chili Palmer's ethnicity is.
Well, I wonder what who that horror director is based off of. I tend to think it's based off of Cocaine Bob's good friend. Damn it, not Russ Meyer, but another. Yeah, Russ. Yeah, thank you, sir. Roger Corman. Roger Corman.
Yeah. Well,
really?
Chili Palmer was supposed.
That's interesting.
Was a guy that Elmore Leonard met. It was a real Chili Palmer, and that's what that's where Elmore Leonard got a lot of his. He'd take a character with a unique name because later on he met a guy named Raylan and turned it Raylan Givens that became the whole Justified.
You know who get
story. Did he meet a Ray Barboni, dude? Because Ray Bones is that's a good character.
Oh, that's a great character. Dennis
who owes Elmore Leonard a great debt? That's Quentin Tarantino. Basically, Quentin Tarantino would not have a career if he didn't rip off Elmore Leonard novels or like David Lynch or those people. Basically,
Tarantino is a hack who loves feet.
He is a hack.
I
agree.
Every iconic scene that he films, he ripped that scene from a previous iconic film.
Oh yeah, definitely.
David Lynch.
Leonard is Elmore Leonard is like one of my favorite. Yeah, David Lynch. That's correct. Wild at Heart. Elmore Leonard is actually one of my favorite.
Favorites.
Contemporary authors. For crime noir, I guess.
Yeah, he has good. Great books, and one of the great lines from him was, "I never talk about the weather in my book." He's like, "If you're starting to describe what the weather is at the beginning of the book, it's like it's a bad." It's not gonna be done.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're starting to talk about the weather, the conversation's going down.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The ideas
it's not bad to ask somebody. It's not bad to ask somebody, how's the weather out there? Sometimes that's of interest.
I'll ask you, sir, how's the weather out there? Last time I spoke to you, it's about 109.
It is super enjoyable at 100 degrees. We're really in a cool down right now.
You gotta be kidding me. That ain't enjoyable, dude.
Cold front going through.
The cold front. It's kind of killer.
Yeah, I don't do too well in that kind of heat. I don't do too well in that kind of heat.
I hear you. I don't think I do either, but no one does. That's why they run inside. They run inside this time of year. Is what they do down here.
I'll go outside. I'm just saying. I tend to crisp up pretty nicely.
Yep, I can picture it. Bad sunburn.
Yeah, I don't play these games of that's dry heat. Nah, I don't care. I've been out in all these. I spent 5 years in the Middle East. I've been in all sorts of heat.
Yeah, no,
that's real.
You've been in the shit with that stuff,
That's real.
Heat, I've got about a baker's dozen heat exhaustions under my belt. I don't know if I need too many more of those, but
when you check the
ginger fella in the Middle East, that's what happens.
When you check the weather app on everybody's phone for humidity, it says 0 every day here, right? So they say, "Oh, that's dry heat. There's no humidity." Had some rain last night, very rare occurrence, which is nice. But it got to 1%, and then it's just 0 for days and days, supposedly.
I challenge anyone to walk out in the middle of Phoenix in the middle of June in 114 heat and tell me that. Oh, it's just.
I challenge you. It's like you step in the oven.
Absolutely, dude.
Quick anecdote: that same trip that I was talking about, where my cousin was talking about Bill Cooper, we went to a Diamondbacks game, and it's me, my brother, my cousin, my brother's friend, and my cousin's like, "Oh, we'll wait to call my dad, my uncle for pickup." And I'm like, "The stadium's in Tempe. Your dad's in Scottsdale. That's a little bit of a hike." He's like, "Yeah, we'll call at the end of the game." I'm like, "What do you want to do?" He's like, "Oh, we'll start walking." I'm like, 100. And we've been drinking.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's not a good area to walk in that part of town.
Yeah.
It's a bad part of town
was starting. Well, and the worst part was my brother's friend got caught for buying a beer with a fake ID. He got tossed before the game even started. So he was kind of like just hunkering around outside, trying to sit in different places.
Well, that sounds like a great time, Phil.
It was
not a good neighborhood. If you're in Glendale, the rest of the stadiums are at,
but you don't want to go. You don't want to go down there now. You might get killed.
Wow, the Diamondback Stadium, it's a rough area.
No, maybe no. Where I live, the baseball teams come to practice all year round. They have stadiums built. Yep, they have stadiums built. There's no winter here ever. Even when it's winter, it's not winter.
From the A spring training facility over there near Tempe. Tempe Sky.
Yeah. So they do baseball big here. I love baseball.
Oh yeah, I used to go to a lot of spring training games when I was stationed down there. Back when I enjoyed baseball more. I
haven't done it for a long time because world got so out of control. I'm like, I don't know if I can watch guys hitting balls around when this thing's getting out. This thing looks like
they've gotten stupid with it, dude. They've gotten real stupid with that entire game, and I can't stand it. It's not baseball anymore.
JJ, I love how you brought in this movie tonight.
Have you seen my baseball? What's that, sir? I
love how you brought in this movie tonight, Lucky Numbers, and then tied it in with the money laundering scene, because it is a classic example of how this movie is probably a money laundering.
It's a money laundering movie about money laundering, dude.
It probably is.
It's still about nothing.
But the movie itself.
Yeah, the movie itself is a money laundering vehicle to talk to you about, to tell a story about money laundering. Because the actual real story of the real lotto scam involves seemingly some Greek mobbed up kind of fellas. You know what I mean?
7 or 8 guys. Yeah, 7 or 8 guys.
With a whole network around the entire state.
There was no Lisa Kudrow. There was no Lisa Kudrow, though, in the original story. No blonde girls.
Yeah, no blonde girl. Their name was Peter and Jack Maragos. I think that's their name.
It seemed like they involved an entire extensive Greek network of folks.
Yeah, they had like bookies. They basically set up like numbers and talked to bookies about doing combinations of 4s and 6 that will win the lottery. Basically, they went out and bought $14,000 worth of tickets at $1 a piece.
Yeah, and they did it in some flagrant ways. Like, the way they got caught was like making a phone call from a payphone to the news guy who helped. They had the guy. So John Travolta plays the weatherman in the film, but the actual guy in the scam was a Greek fella,
Nick Perry. Nick Perry.
Yeah, but that wasn't his birth name. But he was a Greek fella.
No, it's not his birth name. He's anglicized.
Yeah. So, but he was the guy who read the lotto every night on the Pennsylvania lottery. Somehow that just activated my Siri on my phone. It's telling me about the Pennsylvania lottery right now.
Pennsylvania lottery is all above board. They caught the criminals. Yeah.
But when you think of how this movie was presented, like you have Travolta, you have Lisa Kudrow, who's on, obviously a star on Friends. You have a semi-decent sort of storyline, and you have Nora Ephron, who already had credibility in box office.
Woody Allen.
So the only bomb, it's funny enough, the guy who's the screenwriter on this, the 3 movies he did are all bombs. The guy, Adam Resnick.
Yeah, I saw that.
Cabin Boy with Chris Elliott and Death to Smoochie.
Bomb.
Terrible film, right? Yeah.
I love Chris Elliott. Hated that movie.
Yeah, Chris Elliott grew on me, but that movie was a total shit show.
I hate/love Cabin Boy. I mean, I was a big fan of Letterman. Chris Elliott was a writer on Letterman. I guess this guy was too.
Yeah.
I thought he was funny and scary movie.
Dude, how dare you, sir? Are you hugging Letterman, dude?
No. Cabin Boy
was horrible. That was horrible.
That's what I'm saying. It's a Letterman franchise.
That's how they wrecked Chris Elliott with that movie.
I hate that movie.
His career was over
after that. On Letterman for years after that film. I mean, he used to come on and do after he left, they had that Jimmy Simpson fella doing it. He would come on and play the weird skits, like they'd come back from commercial and there'd just be some weird dude sitting on the couch next to talking to Letterman, right?
Funny or no? Back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, it was just some weird.
Off humor. Letterman was the hip thing. There was nothing else to do back then than watch TV and listen, watch Letterman.
I didn't know that. Whitey Bulger.
Well, maybe there was something to do, but
Whitey Bulger won twice.
Bulger won. I think he extorted. The whole thing was it was out of the liquor store that I think was in Southie. That I think it was he might have extorted it from someone. And then there's the fact that Epstein won the lotto.
Right. Well, that's what I was going to get at. So that's we can. I think a lot of these lotto payoffs are money laundering in the aspect they're paying somebody off. You can actually claim the prize anonymously.
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to something, JJ, if you don't mind, but I believe
Yes, sir.
Jonah said something in the chat. I wanted to point out where the lottery came from, if I might. Just give a little bit of history lesson here. So
Yeah,
initially,
please do.
I have to emphasize the lottery comes from the numbers racket, which was something actually, believe it or not, was imported by Caribbean black people who had migrated to Harlem, and they had all this numbers. You were talking about like numbers racket. Well, the guy who started it was a guy named Casper Holstein, and Madame St. Clair, who I think also was a Caribbean immigrant. So what happened was the mob started moving into the numbers racket, and there was like this big war. There's been, I think, been a couple movies made about the whole rivalry between, the black numbers runners and also Madame St. Clair and Casper Holstein. Casper Holstein still is up in Boardwalk Empire as a character of note.
Yeah.
So basically, the mob got a hold of that, and then they took it away from the people, and they nationalized it in 1960. So basically, with the numbers racket, everybody won something. You understand? It wasn't just winner takes all. Like everybody got a little slice of it, and a lot of people were able to feed themselves, sustain themselves, and even build businesses off the numbers racket. So I wanted to just highlight.
Oh, you can have generational wealth off the numbers racket. Look at Erica Kirk's family. Erica Kirk comes from a bunch of numbers racket illegal auto.
I didn't know that.
Chicago.
Interesting.
Oh,
With the numbers, I mean, yeah, totally dropping facts in terms of the numbers racket with Doug Schultz's guy, Berman,
Schultz, yeah.
like he was the one who kind of helped revolutionize that at one point. And yeah, they went to war with Stephanie St. Clair and her associate Bumpy Johnson. And that I was saying with JJ, like that's part of Cotton Club, part of it, the background of that, and then Hoodlum, both of which have Lawrence Fishburne in it. But yeah, no, it was after a while, it was like, yeah, how do we
and
get
then
this
you
into
also,
something?
Then you also had like Nicky Barnes as well, which ties into P. Diddy and his his father.
Not only does it tie into P. Diddy, it ties in the Rogan Network. Homeboy over there in the Rogan Network is the son of Barnes' associate.
Yep.
Name a guy.
A snitch too. Nicky Barnes was a snitch.
Yeah,
Name somebody.
Yeah, Rudy Giuliani handled him.
Frank something? What's that dude's name?
Who?
Nicky Barnes' associate.
I don't know the Nicky Barnes associate. Frank
Lucas.
Frank Lucas.
It's either his son or his nephew, David Lucas.
Lucas was more like a rival, but yeah, like an associate, but like a rival.
They were doing the same hood rat shit at the same time, right?
Everybody says Frank Lucas, but the real guy was a guy named Frank Matthews, not Frank Lucas. Frank Matthews was the real deal. Frank Matthews was just a snitch that worked with Nicky Barnes. Frank Matthews actually took the money from the feds and then went to Brazil or basically Colombia or someplace in the Caribbean and ripped off basically the Cubans and ran off with all the loot. So the real deal was like Frank Matthews, not Frank Lucas. That's why it's kind of an insult to see him in that movie.
But isn't it strange we have his son? I believe he says it's his son, that David Lucas, who's in the Rogan sphere there at the Comedy Mothership. He's their opening act.
And just a quick turnaround to what we're talking about. I was mentioning the movie Hoodlum. In the movie Hoodlum, Doug Schultz is played by Tim Roth, and Tim Roth plays Gig, the nightclub owner who brings up the idea of rigging the lottery and lucky numbers.
Oh yeah.
By the way, second best role in the movie is Tim Roth's character.
I agree with you. The strip club owner, right? He's the, and then he takes his because in the fictional version they all get a portion of the winnings, all the hood rats, and he takes his and invests it in Microsoft. That's a strange plot twist at the end, right?
Yeah, but he's also the one who, like, in the end, orchestrates like a murder. He probably gets Travolta in more issues than anything else between.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's a great point, Phil. He is kind of the devil on Travolta's character's shoulder. Always, he's the one who tells him to do the fake robbery that backfires to get Michael Rappaport on his tail. Right.
His role was strong in that movie. That movie was so disjointedly filmed that they had characters looking like a TV show and other characters looking like a real movie. And that's why when you read the reviews that said this whole movie was so fucking up and down, it's because they were Tim Roth was putting on killer performance. John Travolta was hacking it through. Lisa Kudrow from Friends, it's a TV show. That movie looked like a giant money laundering operation. I love Bill Pullman in there.
O'Neill in there too. The thing that boggles my brain hole, sir, is why? Why would you make this film?
Why? And I got to say, also on that, what you're forcing me to do on occasion here, JJ, when I go look at these movies, which is interesting, movies I haven't done, I started to look closer at the director and their family history. And then once you start looking into the family history of these guys, you start seeing some weird coincidences. And you go, coincidences, not coincidences, but circles of friends. How else would you put it? Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron was married 3 times. Had 3 different husbands. Had 3 different
she also
husbands.
did Bewitched, dude. That one with that weird Bewitched in the 2000s.
Silkwood is actually Silkwood is a good parapolitical movie. I like that
one. But, guess who the director of tonight's movie was married to? Nora Ephron.
Says,
anybody got a guess? Carl Bernstein. Carl Bernstein.
Oh shit, Carl Bernstein.
Hey, Carl, how are you?
Dude?
Washington Post.
How did I know that wasn't a Steen at the end? Good guess.
Not Bernstein. Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Bernstein.
What about this guy right here? She was married to this guy. He's the wise guy. He's the Goodfellas.
Pileggi.
Oh, the first guy. Yeah, Pileggi.
Yeah.
Wise guys.
Snitch, I believe.
Casino.
Right? A snitch. He's
the one celebrating all this mafia shit. He brings us to the celebration of all this mafia shit.
I think he's a snitch as well.
But don't forget one last guy, Dan Greenberg. Dan Greenberg
who's that?
Was an American writer, humorist, and journalist. His books include How to Be a Jewish Mother, a very lovely training
I'm not
manual.
Jewish or mother, so I don't think I qualify.
That was one, 1964. Then he came out with Make Yourself Miserable, another vital training manual in 1966. And then him and Marcia Jacobs wrote How to Avoid Love.
Well,
1978. I'm just saying.
Look who brings us that story about Frank Lewis.
So I'm going to go on. One more thing about Daniel. JJ. He's born in 1936. Daniel Greenberg.
King is a South Beach. That's actually about
65. His father. But
is this a real person?
Going through her husband's paints this weird picture of, wow, this woman's hanging out in some unusual circles.
You don't hear much about
Nora Ephron
hanging out with like Woody Allen. Don't forget that one, the Epstein.
Yeah. So Dan Greenberg is her first husband, and he's a character, huh?
The first one.
How to Be a Jewish Mother, a very lovely tree. Well,
I'm just saying. I'm like,
everybody needs that. Everybody needs that, don't they?
Yeah. Every Jewish mother I know, I love. Yeah.
So where does this come into play with the Berenstein Bears? How does that get involved here? All different guys. Greenberg.
There was the guy that was so influenced Bernstein. Or was it Bernstein? No, Peruggi. Listen, there was this
Watergate.
There was this Pileggi was a friend of Gay Tallahassee, and we all kind of understand him if you look back.
Who?
Gay Tallahassee. His,
I don't know who that is. Can you spell that?
His first cousin.
Honor thy father.
Gay Talese. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That's an
he was kind of
name.
like
I thought you were making shit up for a second, Todd. I'm like, that can't be a real name. But
first cousin.
I knew who Todd was.
Yeah, but his first name's Gay. Dude, are you kidding me?
Well, how many?
I think he was just calling him names. I'm like, calm down, Todd.
I'm just saying.
One of his big books was.
What's that, Phil?
Yeah. No.
Well, I was going to say, Gay Talese hang out with some interesting people. Norman Mailer, Joan Didion.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting, like, new journalists.
Hunter S. Thompson,
Tom
Tom
Wolfe.
Wolfe.
Influencing culture a little
Truman
bit.
Capote. Truman Capote's not talked a whole lot about.
Truman Capote,
But,
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a creepster. He's a creepster of a Manson variety.
Talese was accused, I think one of his books, that he might have either been misled or made it up, because the whole thing about that new journalism is, writing like historical novels, like they're true stories, but they infuse their own, like Hunter Thompson.
Yeah, narrative.
But I did Talese, I read Honor Thy Father, which was about Bill and Joe Bonanno. That was, it was a good book.
Let's bring back his column, Sports Gazing.
What? One thing I want to say, Phil, on Bernstein, his parents, Sylvia Nee Walker and Alfred Bernstein, both of his parents were civil rights activists and members of the Communist Party USA in the 1940s. You know that about Bernstein, right?
I did not know that.
This paragon of journalism, Bernstein. It took down Nixon. His parents were members.
Paragon or paraquat? Are we with the name calling again, John?
I don't know. Call him whatever you want. Maybe you don't call him potato. I don't know.
Also, I noticed Watergate in there as well.
Yeah, so he was married. He was married to Ephron at the time of Watergate, huh?
Well, a little bit after, and then because Bernstein. Now again, in Jim Hogan's book, Secret Agenda, he alleges, and to be honest, I believe him, that Woodward was spying on Bernstein because of Bernstein's sex life.
Oh, really?
I've heard that.
I mean,
Bernstein's
messy, kinky shit.
Like, was he wearing fake breasts like Christy Noem's husband, or weirder than that?
Did he have a skin mask on? Was he wearing a skin suit?
Did he wear someone else's face as his own face?
He might have been, like, for all we know, he might have been a customer of the Columbia Plaza Apartments, where there was a call girl ring operating out of. But,
that makes a lot more sense. I was going to accuse of being a dog fucker, but what you said is far more.
Oh man!
Ephron used her messy divorce and the fact that Bernstein was cheating on her. That became fodder for her book, and then the movie Heartburn, which was Meryl Streep and Jack Nicholson. I just remember falling asleep on that movie when I was a kid.
Somebody in the chat made an interesting comment about how he was bankrolling the Black Panthers, which I think was talked about in Tom.
Well, Harry's
Wolfe's
a vampire.
book.
We got to double check that. He's known for.
Oh, is that from Harry? He's Canadian too, so
nature.
Take that.
Yeah, I know.
He
might be right about that. I think he might be right about
he's
that.
He's a Canadian vampire, so he's known for his misinformation.
Yeah. Canadian vampires use half their strength in America.
So I think Tom Wolfe wrote an interesting book called Mau
No, he's
Mau
probably
Black
right.
Panther, which is about, I believe, the bankrolling of the Black Panthers at the time. So there's some interesting circles there.
That's a good point. No, I appreciate it. Even though Harry's a vampire, I appreciate when he has some good.
Yeah, we like Harry follows our show.
Since we're mentioning Tom Wolfe, Wolfe's
who's not an actual wolf, right? Not an actual wolf.
No, he's not. But one of his books that got turned into a more infamous box office bomb was Bonfire of the Vanities.
Oh yeah, Bonfire of the Vanities. Yeah.
I mean, they made a whole book that I read a couple of years ago, The Devil's Candy, about the troubled production of that, and Brian De Palma, directing a
Brian De Palma,
thriller. Yep, and how it went batshit crazy. I mean, it was one of the more infamous at the time. That movie was an issue for the studio. I think it might have been Warner Brothers, and the other one was Nothing But Trouble, with Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd.
I like that one. I like that one.
It's a shitty film. Don't get me wrong. It's a
shitty film, but fun.
I don't love it.
Chevy Chase
shitty film, fun.
Derailing the movie.
Hollywood gave Dan Aykroyd the reins to direct that film, and they said, "Look, Dan, you've lost your shit, bud. You're no longer directing ever again." We also get a young, very gay Tupac Shakur in that film.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I am calling names. His name's not gay. He is just very gay.
And which, hold on, JJ.
I don't care.
Which Baldwin brother is in that?
Ooh, which Baldwin brother is in that? I haven't seen that in a while. Is it Daniel Baldwin? We get an obscure Baldwin reference in there?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah,
Daniel Baldwin.
Nothing but trouble. Is he hiding?
His highlights
on the street, Daniel Baldwin. Yes.
Yeah, his highlight reel is basically VH1's rehab or whatever they did.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. Not the crazy one though. That's Steven apparently, and Steven had more talent.
Have you listened to his podcast or seen anything what that dude does in life anymore? Like, first of all, his son-in-law is Justin Bieber, I think.
Yeah.
He thinks Hollywood is satanic, which he's right about that.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, I mean, look at his son-in-law, dude. What did he do to Bieber, dude? I mean, Baldwin probably has a little bit of knowledge in that. Alec Baldwin's a murderer. That's all. That's a known. Whatever happened to Billy Baldwin? He kind of fell off the map. He was kind of the better actor than Baldwin, to be quite honest with you.
He comes out and every now and then and makes an anti-Trump statement. That's about it. I mean,
yeah,
like a born-again Christian anti-Trump statement. Which one's the one that's the born-again Christian that goes around
Steven.
talking?
That's Biodown. That's Biodown, Stephen Baldwin.
Usual Suspects, though. Usual Suspects is best role.
I was about to say that's not his highlight. Yeah, that's not his best one. I'm about to say
I agree with that. Usual Suspects is probably his best role, which unfortunately directed by a creeper.
Yeah, Brian Singer.
Well,
yes.
Yeah.
If that's your best role, if that's your best role,
on that set with Kevin Spacey and Brian Singer, but then you also throw in that British fellow, the wizard guy that does all the gay stuff, Ian McKellen, I think is his name or whatever. He's in there with App Pupil, right? It's App Pupil. It's Singer, McKellen,
Renfro.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They done ran through Renfro, I think, sadly.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny with Usual Suspects, one of the screenwriters we talked about in Tom Cruise month, Christopher McQuarrie. He's the one who wrote that.
Oh yeah, he does a lot of. He's a decent writer. I'll give him.
If we ever get a chance, Way of the Gun, which was that he wrote with Benicio del Toro, Ryan Phillippe, James Caan, Juliette Lewis. Underrated movie.
Oh, The Way of the Gun. Yes, I remember that one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I second that. I second that one. That one is a good one.
Sounds good. I don't know if I've seen that. I have to look that up.
There's nothing better watching in the first 5 minutes than watching Sarah Silverman get punched in the face.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm against violence against women.
Oh hell yeah!
It's Sarah Silverman, so I think you take a chance. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, no one likes her. She's all. Yeah, I can understand where they're like, well, we can't hit a lady in the first few minutes of the film. They're like, well, and then they're like,
would you hit a man wearing glasses
and
shouting at you obnoxiously?
You do it to the background of a Rolling Stones song that's actually pretty good. It was what was it? Hold on 1 second. It was up there, Exile on Main Street.
I love Rolling Stones.
Underrated, but yeah.
Please hold that thought right there. We have a special moment.
Write that down.
DCD Live. RR channel, you fucking muppet! You're late for duty. Report to the brig. Tell your Muppet Langley, your Langley Muppets, your fellow Langley Muppets, to go fuck themselves.
And John Travolta.
We're here to talk about the cinematic mediocre masterpiece from the year 2000. Lucky Numbers. Perhaps you've heard of it. It has nothing to do. Pope Innocent wasn't in there. And that started that film, sir.
Tell RR that John Travolta will be by later to check in, see what's happening in the men's quarters.
Well,
no,
John Travolta
in the young men's quarters, not the old men's quarters.
No, I'll give you a nice massage.
Yeah, I'm getting real handsy. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Here's a good Stephen Baldwin I was looking for.
Here are the pizzas. A lot of buses is free because I couldn't find the goddamn place. Russell? Bob. How'd you get a job? Fucking President Clinton.
You had sex with President Clinton?
Strangely enough, Steve Bannon financed the Biodown project, which that film was kind of loosely based
Don't
around.
forget
even though it's not what's depicted.
he also financed Indian Runner as well.
Well, hold on, sir.
And don't
financed
forget
the
he had
Biodown
15
project.
hours. Don't forget he had 15 hours of video with what's his nuts. Sorry.
Intervention, sir. Steve Bannon financed the film and the project Biodome. He was involved with both of those things. How weird is that?
And that probably was filmed in New Mexico.
I think it was filmed in California, I feel like.
Okay, if it was in New Mexico by Epstein's Ranch, this might get really weird. But anyways.
The building used, I think, is in Tucson.
Oh, that's... Yeah, I don't. That's horrible. It's close. This that close to me, but what else were you saying, JJ?
RR channel's a muppet.
RR channel. John Travolta's coming by later. Better be on extra duty. Yeah.
What, dude, making fun of Seinfeld? Is that real life? Is this real life?
I don't know.
We got our Seinfeld correspondent back from the field. Is this real life, sir?
I did hear that there was, I think it was a production company that Bannon was involved with, or actually made money off of the syndication, which I know pisses off the liberals.
Weird.
He has to get syndication, right? I mean, I know if we're talking money laundering in Hollywood, Steve Bannon's a major. That's what I was kind of getting at with that Biodome clip and Steve Baldwin. He's a major figure in science, technology, Hollywood.
He owns the rights to Seinfeld, and he made his money off World of Warcraft. That's where he made a good chunk of it.
He has a 15-hour videotape session with Epstein.
What are they doing?
Trying to smooth his character over that hasn't been released. Have you heard this ridiculousness? It's like, what is this? Do you love Epstein, or are you part of the schmooze? What is going on here? You know,
I think he's just there for the money. He's just there for the money.
Just there for the money. Tell me where to go. Where do I get my $1 million? That makes perfect sense.
He's a spook, and he's also deeply in bed with an ancient alien cargo cult of a right-wing variety of a Chinese nationalist variety.
Yeah, there is that Chinese nationalist weird. Could be the Tongs.
The folks that finance that Shun Lee Broadway business are the same folks that finance the Epoch Times. They have a 400-acre compound in Orange County, New York. They're an ancient alien cargo cult. Sure.
No kidding.
There's that. China. You know, where they, China, where they drop a box of silverware down the stairs, and that's how they name their children. No, I'm just teasing.
Wait a second. Is that accurate? Let's get
ding dong, ding dong. No, that's what I heard. Somebody told me that one time. I'm sorry. That's a joke. That's a joke. I know everyone hates that. Do they drop silverware down the stairs? I'm just teasing. It's a joke.
I don't think folks are too open about it on the conservative side of them here in America, but there are a lot of them are financed by Epoch
canceled again. Stop it.
And I could get killed by the triad, or the tongs.
Do y'all know which cult I'm talking about with the Epoch Times?
Yeah, I do.
Isn't it Falun Gong?
Falun Gong. Thank you, sir. I knew it'd come up. I was searching my brain hole for it, dude. I appreciate that.
The dreaded enemy of the communist government. They put them in prisons and steal their organs.
They finance a lot of entertainment here in America. And that Shun Lee Broadway business and tours. They do the Epoch Times. They fund Bannon's War Room podcast. They do a lot of conservative media stuff, though.
Lots of media influence.
Are we talking
conservative media?
We're probably not talking DRC China. We're probably talking more like Taiwan, maybe. If anything,
these are Chinese nationals. Correct.
Taiwan,
Chinese nationals of a Taiwanese variety. Right.
Yeah, like the Chiang Kai-shek sort of ancestors. Sort of situation.
Right. The ones that resisted the takeover.
GCD, we operate on because we all work for the UN now, the United Nations. We follow one China policy here, sir. So they're technically.
I respect.
They're Taiwanese.
One child, one citizen. No.
Have we ever considered that John Travolta movies make a great way to launder money? Because how many movies have had box office bombs?
JJ's got me thinking that.
Same year was Battlefield Earth. I mean, and who'd have thought?
Horrible.
Based off, that great writer L. Ron Hubbard would turn out to be a turd, huh?
That was supposed to be a brilliant film starring upcoming Scientologist Barry Pepper.
Yep, Travolta with like dreads. I mean,
dreaded Travolta.
I never would have thought that would have
so bad.
Turned out to be a shit show. Or what was it when he was in Gotti? Pretty recently actually, and that was a turkey of immense dimensions. One of the guy Kevin Connolly from Entourage was involved with that.
Yeah, much like Aykroyd in the previous one we were talking about. Too much. Or what was it? Not Big Trouble.
Nothing but trouble.
Was it?
Nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble. I was going to call it Nothing Big Trouble. That ain't the right. That ain't the right answer. But yeah, Connolly lost his reins to ever direct again after that shit show he put on with Gotti.
Yeah, well, you don't make a movie that's basically kissing John Gotti's ass,
Yeah, and you don't film it in Cincinnati and call it Brooklyn, New York either. That's another fatal flaw on there.
Yeah, no. If you can't get at least a little bit of access to Brooklyn or the island, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah, but I like where your brain holds at, sir, because if your intent and purpose of the film is to, save money on paper, so to speak, so you can launder or steal more of it on the top end. Well, yeah, that's why you picked Cincinnati to film Brooklyn, because it's going to be a shitty result, and that's what you're aiming for in the first place.
You gotta. I was about to type. Go the Weinstein brother. Go the Miramax method. Go wherever. In the end, you could put one set of books that says we went over, cost overruns every day. We were over budget, and then the other book
have fun. Have fun with the money is what they told them.
Yep. And
I swear
you don't get to see the second set of books.
And JJ, I got to throw this in. Sorry, Phil, real quick. I got to interject.
What are you throwing, dude? Let me catch. What do you got for me?
Can we do a rewind thing on that movie, Devil's Reign, with John Travolta and Ernest Borgnine?
If I'm hearing you correctly, you want to do a review of Devil's Reign starring William Shatner, John Travolta, technical advisor Anton LaVey in the year 1974, but you want to do it reverse, Memento style, like Chris.
Well, you've already done it. You've already done it once, right? Didn't you do it?
No, we haven't done that film yet. No, sir.
I thought you did that with Nick from Occult Rejects. Or are we just talking about it?
My brain hole at the moment. I'm going to go with no.
Okay. Well, maybe I just thought you said you were going to do it.
Dude, I remember that one. It was faces.
Oh, people's faces were melting. I'm not sure if his melted. I'd have to watch it again.
I'm used to my brain hole kind of getting melted off, but now my face.
So let's do that show. Let's do that show because that'll connect a lot of weird stuff that you could tie into Satanic Panic.
That is when Travolta claims he first got introduced to Scientology. He became a Scientologist on that set. There's a character actress from the 70s who's in that film. I can't think of it, but we do have a picture of Travolta. Let's look at that. Actually, let's take a quick break here, and I'll find that Travolta picture with LeVay and the Travolta picture with me. We'll do a contrast to compare. He's talking to me a lot more than he is LeVay, and I'm not into it, dude. You're barking the wrong tree, Johnny.
Now, she's reporting her neighbor, who's ex-Catholic, fired the man, and Leonard's close to talk to. Well, she doesn't know what to do. She says we stopped her for Colleyville. Says she hates me ever since I arrived. Says I'm not allowed to go unheard. We got to a decent challenging in court. That I would not be an occupant of an assembly hall in her state. They're there to say that she's having fun. Not with yet this policy. That's Liver says she's moved in. And that she just, she don't want the challenge. Here we go. She plays with Pittsburgh Steelers. She wants no Bowling Green, Ohio. Let's bet up for that. She wants someone else. Here we go. Here we go. Now she says she hates it. She's got a grudge for 27 years. She's letting the show says I. And she won't let go of the pages. Here we go. She doesn't say just look good. She says the word hate every day. I've never been in the report your neighbor, who's ex-Catholic, fired the man, and Leonard's supposed to talk to. Well, she doesn't know what to do. She says we stopped her from Colleyville. Says she hates me ever since I arrived. Says I'm not allowed to go unheard because it would be too challenging in court. That I would not be an occupant of an assembly hall in her state. That they're saying that she's having fun. Not with yet this policy. That's Liver says she's moved in. And that she just, she don't want the challenge. Here we go. She plays with Pittsburgh Steelers. She wants no Bowling Green, Ohio. That's better up, but that she wants someone else. Here we go. Here we go. Now she says she hates it. She's got a grudge for 27 years. She's letting the show says I. And she won't let go of the pages. Here we go. She actually does take this from Luca. She says the word hate every day. I've never been in a dwelling. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
You know, most people don't realize. Most people don't realize
to deal with, so I had to. Here we go.
Most people don't realize that guy is walking past their house every day. All of you listening here this evening.
Doing his routes, dude.
The eye contact. That's the creepy shit. Holy fuck.
I love it, dude. It's the eye contact, the angry look, and then that's his first. Here we go. It's like here we go.
Yeah. Yep. You can tell he's communicating with the beyond.
Clock. It's one hell of an alarm clock.
You think he's done with this? Here we go. Then he drops an even louder. Here we go on you at the end.
Exactly. Let's do it again. We've all been there.
Make that guy into a movie.
Does it make the property value go down?
It does.
Oh, absolutely, dude. The one thing that there's a lot of things that puzzle me about that video clip, and every time I watch it, I can't get enough of it. But I've yet to figure out. I've contemplated a few scenarios, but I've yet to figure out how exactly did he get that farmer stand, dude? It's the weirdest farmer stand. The locations on his arms and his legs make no sense with normal clothing. I'm like, how did you achieve this, pal?
and the worst part is he's grandfathered in to the property.
Yeah, I don't know if he's having like a diabetic dude.
Can't get rid of him. He's coming around.
He's tolerated by the HOA. He's an institution.
They put up some because he got a medical condition.
It's an HOA community. Now look at that guy's driveway.
He is You're not getting rid of that.
I hate HOAs.
Man, don't we all?
I don't know what he's drinking, dude.
I don't know. I hate him.
He clearly likes the party. I like that about him, so I'm happy to, like the party.
That's funny.
I'm
one of the many reasons. One of the many reasons I love your show, JJ. Thank you for the invite. It's good to see you, Dr. Future. And I always love Phil. Inferno or Future? Because JJ's calling you Dr.
I mean, it's fine, whatever.
JJ was calling you the others.
Memento sometimes.
Dr. Memento. Because Dr. Memento was badass. Loved Dr. Memento back in the 70s. Dr. Inferno, you got a symbol of the Reaper, and then also a clock.
The Ouroboros.
And also a clock.
Yes.
Yeah, so and then the Ouroboros, you got an infinity symbol if you want to tie everything in there. But a clock,
signature.
Clock kind of reminds you of Saturn. Is that a Saturn reference? Is that like a Saturn? The Green Reaper and the clock.
It's not really a Saturn reference.
I can't quite make it out. Doesn't look good though. Whatever it is you're making.
More of an alchemical reference.
I don't know
what am I looking at there?
Go ahead, Doc. What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying it's more of an alchemical reference. The Ouroboros. I reference it to alchemy.
Yeah,
infinity.
Infinity symbol. Yeah, infinity symbol. DNA structure, the cycle
Is
of
there
life.
no, there's no burger element. No.
There's no burger element, no
there better be a
fries.
burger element, sir.
Well, if there ain't no
like
fries,
it.
I ain't coming.
Except I liked it. Except
dare
I
Without
you,
the
liked
sir.
fries, I ain't taking it.
Yeah.
Sure you-
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
How dare you, sir? There's definitely a burger
How
element
dare,
to all this.
how dare you? 9/11, an inside job. How dare you?
This is a old lady sex doll that Alan Dershowitz had him sitting on his
Oh
couch.
man.
The entire
Yeah.
interview during
Oh.
the British 60 Minutes show, where he
And
was
if you
telling the
can't-
world that
I mean, didn't the Michael Moore character have a sex
If you
doll?
can't trust,
Yeah, you did.
The Michael Moore
if you
character.
can't trust
Michael Moore
Dershowitz, you know,
had a sex doll.
In the bathroom,
I was
yeah.
shocked that was
Where the
Michael
ticket
Moore
was.
too. Like I was like, what's he doing? What's he doing in
That
movies?
reminds me of Alan Dershowitz's sex doll.
Mm-hmm.
really does.
And,
Really does.
here's
Kind of looks like his
photo
mother.
from
It kind of his mother. Mother.
Todd, here you go. Here's me, Johnny T, and the stealth fighter. That's not me, / is me. I'm
Oh, I
sorry.
love that. Look at
I
that.
did not let him in a secure facility. It didn't happen, Todd.
Whew. Scares me. Thank God you
I
were
blacked out
fucking
on my patch. It
working
wasn't
out
me,
at that
dude. It
time.
wasn't there.
JJ,
I told my
multiple-
troops that night. They're like, "Can we take photos?" I'm like, "I'm not taking a photo. You guys can take photos. I want no
They try to give you a
evidence."
massage. They try to give you a
Later
massage.
on,
dude,
we're gonna
that's
set up.
awesome.
Later on, we're gonna set up a camera. You were gonna put a camera set up, going, "Whoa!"
So I already didn't want a photo, and then he's like, he insisted on having a photo. He's like, "Well, you're their leader. You got to have a photo." I'm like, "That's not a true story." There,
You're the
John."
best looking one. You're the leader.
And-
You
want
tell
you to
the other guys
yap,
what to
and then
do.
I
Give
take
him a
the
nice,
photo without saying about
A nice massage in the corner.
Hey, it looks like he's kind of rubbing
You
his
can see the
shoulder right
gap.
there.
Well, you can see the gap I was aiming for here. There's a nice 3-foot gap there. At the very last
Yeah, you don't
second,
look like you're hugging in tight to him. Yeah.
he pulls me in real tight. I felt awkward and put my arm like right there just because, right?
Oh, he's like,
But-
why isn't this young man just
Dude,
coming on to me?
Dude,
Yeah.
oh, dude. Now, well, this is, I felt bad. About
Why
an hour
is this
before
young
that
man
photo,
mesmerized by my talent, my skills, my
Well, no,
my look?
well,
Wait,
I don't think that was the context of that.
I
About an
hear
hour
ya.
before that,
I'm
I basically
teasing.
threatened to kill him. So
There you go.
I said, "Get
Get
your
me
hands
closer
off
to my
aircraft."
machine gun.
And then he turned around, and I was like, "Oh shit, you're John Travolta." He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh shit!" I just was yelling at John Travolta.
the hell yeah, bitch.
Oh,
I'm
that
not-
story is so good. That story is so good. I don't know many other people that got to yell at John Travolta,
He had a
so
PR
it's pretty
rep that
cool, dude.
wasn't. He had a PR rep that wasn't a transpocalypse, homicidal, multi-state stabbing spree killer like my PR rep.
MK Travolta. MK Travolta.
You got that Travolta money, dude. You don't have to hire Buffalo Sheriff.
Right.
Well, in Travolta's case, you wonder, like, was it Scientology that got him brainwashed, or was he brainwashed before?
Yeah.
Well-
Well, that's a good question because we do see him meeting Satan himself, so to speak, and the same time
And Devil's Reign.
Scientology. So,
Whoa.
notice Travolta's hands are not very handsy
Holy
here.
shit.
He's got him down by his
Damn.
sides.
Oh,
That's a cursed photo if I ever seen
that's
one.
like Donald Trump and Roy Cohn hanging out at Studio 64
Jack's on the
picture.
scene here
Whoa.
too. Jack's on this film.
Well, just
Oh.
everybody talks about like Travolta's like big, like one of his first breakouts was Boy in the Plastic Bubble, which was around the time of Welcome Back, Kotter. But how about the fact that one of his first like box office movies, because Boy in the Plastic Bubble that was like a TV movie, was Carrie.
Yeah.
With
Huge.
Stephen King
interesting.
adaptation, Brian De Palma
Yeah.
movie. I think there's more than a few Scientologists who might have been involved in that movie.
Mhm.
And that was all
What
before
was
Grease.
I miss that?
Carrie.
Oh, Carrie.
Stephen King.
Yeah, Stephen King's Carrie. Okay. I didn't know. I've never seen that film. I didn't know Travolta.
I don't know
was
if
in
you
it.
want to see it, but okay.
Oh, that's interesting you mentioned that. So
Yeah.
Sissy Spacek she was rumored to be part of the cult scene, right?
In the movie, definitely. A religious wacko. She's like a religious wacko in the
Well-
movie that, the book, the movie.
Well, she
Her
came from
mother
that
is.
Ford
My
modeling.
mother is.
She came from the Ford modeling agency that had connections to the whole Son of Sam process business, and they would
Okay.
use her name as a nickname within the cult.
She looked like a poster child for Process Church, kind of her face. In my opinion, kind of that crazy
I think she
cult
comes from
look.
that Ford modeling agency,
Like
right?
Alfred E. Newman, if he was your Alfred E. Newman was a member of the cult. Female.
By the way, Prime Cut is a good movie. That's a good movie.
Prime Cut.
There's an extra at 84 also. That's a big one.
And to be honest, let's talk about some of those Lee Strasberg's Actor Studio. Who's to say with the Actor Studio there wasn't stuff? Because what was it, the Stanislavski method? Like they talk about some of these acting studios.
Like Daniel Day-Lewis, isn't that the Stanislavski method? You never get out of character, right? Isn't that the same one?
And who was Daniel Day-Lewis, the son-in-law of? Arthur Miller. I mean, there's weird connection. One form or another, you're going to get some weird shit one way or another. But yeah, the whole thing of method acting where you throw yourself so far into a role, you kind of just lose yourself. Isn't
that what got Jared Leto almost thrown off of Suicide Squad? He never broke character as the Joker. He was even,
and it's some weird gifts.
He even said
like
Margot Robbie fuck yeah, dude. He sent Margot Robbie a dead rabbit or some dumb shit, dude.
Not to mention the Joker kind of role kind of has a curse on it anyway. It's like 100%. Kind of
Batman.
How dare
Batman,
you, sir? Name one example of that. Name 7 examples of that. I mean,
well, Batman itself on the Joker scene. Batman itself is this idea that an ultra rich billionaire is going to fight crime behind the scenes, right? The people that are running the world, the ones behind the criminal activity, they care about us all, so they're going to go around the law and fight crime for us. Thank you. But there's no, they don't tell you the part of the story where the government is creating the criminals, funding the criminals, funding the war, the nonstop war. Back to the movie, there was one part about, you mentioned Jared Leto being a cult member. The whole movie was filled with Ed O'Neill. I bet if you looked at how many of those people are Scientologists, that might have been a 75% Scientologist movie. I'm not sure, but because I can't trace all the characters there. But
no, they like to stick together with Scientologists. Like, let's look at John Travolta's previous film in the 90s, the one that made him a real big household name, Look Who's Talking, co-starring Scientologist Kirstie Alley, and voiced by Bruce Willis, right? The initial baby. Well, would you believe that the Demi Moore and Bruce Willis's wedding, I think that was one of the few people in attendance, was John Travolta and his wife, Kelly Preston.
Yeah.
So we see we see that a very strong likelihood that there's some Scientology around Bruce Willis and Demi Moore. Because she stars in G.I. Jane opposite Jason Begay. Jason Begay was Xenu's #1 actor in Hollywood before Tom Cruise.
Demi Moore is Bruce
Willis. #1 in the 90s.
Bruce Willis's wife. And I wanted to say,
know Jason Begay's best friend is, sir? JFK Jr. He's still alive across the planet. Go ahead.
Oh, fantastic! Anyways, guess who attended the 50 or 75th anniversary of Scientology in 2025 last year? John Travolta.
Was it Bill Blasky?
John Travolta led. People were speculating, was he going to be there with all the bad press? He was there, Scientology boots on.
Was this the bad press that he's the father of Elvis's granddaughter?
Even with the bad press. Even with the bad press, he was still there.
I think with Travolta, I think in Going Clear, Lawrence Wright's book, they talk about Travolta and Cruise. There's sort of like points when they were waffling. And I think especially with Travolta when his son Jet died, like that there was points when he would maybe, what do they call it?
Badlands.
When he would just kind of have ties. I've never seen it. I've heard good things about Badlands.
Oh, you should watch it.
That's what I was saying before. I was just reading about it. It sounds pretty awesome, but I don't mean to get you off.
It's based on one of. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'll definitely save this one there, Doc. I appreciate the recommendation because it sounds like a good one.
Yeah, it's based on the Starkweather murders, which is like one of the more interesting spree killings in America's history.
Yeah,
I think one of those instances where he's wavering from Scientology is in 2012 when we see all these tabloids hit.
Well, I think, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Probably leaked it. The auditing files.
Right.
I still think the
Scientology's great wizardry and media, right? They're probably the ones orchestrating that, right?
Let me ask you, did they leak the Richard Gere stuff with the hamster?
I blame them, dude. Because that group, here's the deal, bud. I joined the military in 1998, in March 1998, and everyone I met knew that story. Everyone's joking around about gerbils and Richard Gere's, but from California to Florida to Seattle, Washington, like
everybody in America, everyone had that same sale. Elementary school, everybody knew it.
This was before the interwebs, really. So the only way it grows, I think, is Scientology. I blame Scientology because I think Richard Gere, he has a lot of Scientology connections. I think he left or was wavering, and they released that shit, right? They're like, oh, well, even if it's not true, even if it's not from his little hold the can session book, where you tell all your secrets, they're gonna make that shit anyway and tell people it was from that. They don't.
What was it? Operation Snow White. That was with them, basically doing kind of like what that hippie group did with the FBI office in Media, PA in 71 or 72, with them kind of like going after law enforcement. Who's to say they didn't do, they didn't co-opt members of the media at a point, and
we know they did.
Control. Yeah. So
it's on record.
When you have that source and you can be like, okay, well, we got a couple things about Travolta, and, at this point, Travolta's he's had such a long-standing reputation, but again, there's always been rumors, and who's to say where it's like, all right, we're gonna.
Conspiracy theorists and shows always bring up the Smith-Mundt Act, and JJ always brings up the 1947 National Security Act.
Oh yeah, well, that's when free speech died.
They pass these executive orders, and all of a sudden come out and Smith-Mundt, we're reversing propaganda, laws.
Well, how about this, dude? How about a scenario where Scientology is orchestrating Mockingbird-style operations on and above, outside the parameters of the government, doing it on their own accord? The Orenthal James Simpson case is brought to us by Scientology. The folks in the media, the prosecutor, Greta Van Susteren, Dr. Phil has some son. He's a creepy son of a bitch. I don't know if he's a Scientologist, but he's got some creepy connections.
I have a saying I've said for years. When I started looking at this a long time ago, I started realizing if it's in the news, it's because they want you to see it.
Yeah.
Because there's 10,000 things or angles they could show you. If they're showing you stuff and there's money behind it, it's going through, there's a reason they want you to see it. So then look at it. What is it they're trying to spin here? Because they don't even focus on things of value. They focus on things that shape culture and people's opinions about events. That's pretty much all the news is now.
Perception.
If you want a really obscure Scientology rabbit hole to go down, I recommend look up the Jeremy Blake and Teresa Duncan case. That'll kind of illustrate.
Yes. Oh, dude. Thank you, sir. I woke up there and I'm thinking about that case and I couldn't think of it. They were related to both Paul Thomas Anderson and Tom Cruise.
They were trying to get
Teresa
back
Duncan.
Scientology.
I couldn't think of the name. I was like, give me a name.
Give me a name. Tell me who runs the Illuminati.
They ended up getting like gang stalked, and I mean, a lot of people say they're gang stalked, but they actually were. And then they ended up, suicided.
I'm not saying they were, but I know they do
working
that.
on a Tom Cruise and Paul Thomas Anderson project. Paul Thomas Anderson's got a lot of.
Well, they're working also with Bret Easton Ellis as well on the Golden.
Bret Easton Ellis, the smiley face killer.
Yeah. The American Psycho, Patrick Bateman.
Jeremy Blake and Teresa Duncan. Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't think of their names, dude. I was pissing me off.
They're like
for some reason thinking about this
like
case,
witnesses
and I was
to
like, what
the
the fuck are their names, dude?
Yeah.
How crazy Scientologists
They were trying to get back out of Scientology, and the Scientologists didn't like that. Because I think Beck was a big spokesperson.
Well, it
for
reminds
Scientology.
me of
Beck the singer. Beck's the singer.
Yes, Beck the singer. Yes, 2
Beck
turntables
the
and a
fucking
microphone.
turntables and a microphone. Stupid
Yeah.
There's not a
modern
there's not a
music.
movie that
Oh,
gets like
God.
made in Hollywood
Yes.
where Beck's father doesn't
That's
score
right.
the.
Yeah.
Please
Score the
rescue
music.
my idiot son that's been given too much money and a lot of instruments and been told he's going to meet Xenu. No, Jesus.
The devil's
Well,
haircut on my mind.
Doc, the Duncan Blake murder reminds me of the Gull Sharp murder around the Manson family.
Tell me about that one. I'm not familiar with that one.
Oh, well, you're joining me for Fridays, are you not, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think I will. Yeah.
All right, well,
Good.
so is Troublemaker Jonah. So me and Troublemaker Jonah can dive into some of this murder business.
Okay.
Because neither one of these characters are part of tonight's film, Lucky Numbers. However, also, while I'm at it, on Sunday, this Sunday's Operation GCD Sundays, live Sundays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be talking about more lotto scandals. The 2015 Multi-State Lottery Association, their head director of securities scandals, and how that connects to the Epstein lotto winnings there in 2015.
Oh, man. Can't wait to hear that. Sounds badass.
Oh, it's
I've heard whispers of this story, but
it's a very extensive fraud, and it was the head of security for the Multi-State Lotto Association. He incorporated family, much like the one we're talking about tonight, where these Greek fellows incorporated family and friends. So did this Eddie Tickton fella. His brother got busted. His brother was was a judge in Texas. Then they were paying illegal immigrants to cash in tickets for them, and that's kind of where everything went wrong here. In the film, they got the Denny's waitress to cash the ticket. That's fancy, but which dude had his own booth at Denny's with like the little little velvet robes, dude. That was a little ridiculous.
well, we always talk here recently quite a bit about money laundering of drugs and guns and that kind of thing going on during Iran Contra, and what that represents is they were trying to go off the books to fund programs that you wouldn't agree to or vote on, and they don't have time to get your approval, right? That's Iran Contra. Plus, they're all dirty.
They want to do hood
if you
rat
really
shit.
knew
Mom
what
and
they
Dad
were
told them
doing.
not to.
Yeah, if you really knew what they're doing, you
Mom
never
and Dad
vote
at
for it,
Congress told all the unintelligence agencies not to do hood rat shit, and they're like, well, I want to do hood rat shit with my friends, so that's what we're going to do.
So because of national security orders, and you're going to get cover to do dirty deeds. And that's where we're living today, is in a world full of dirty deeds. These guys have done dirt cheap. And, man.
Nice AC/DC reference. Let's see what you're doing there.
Dirty deeds, they done dirt cheap. Oh, dirty deeds, they done dirt cheap.
The lottery only exists to catch time travelers. That's the theory I'm unfamiliar with.
Get both arms! Get
Come on!
Check his arm!
Get it up!
Are you raping?
Wait, hold on. Are we raping him? Nobody's raping anybody.
Where's your missing arm, motherfucker?
Hey!
Where's your missing arm, motherfucker?
Where is it? But, we can get your toe. We can get your toe.
You need a toe? I get your toe, dude. I get your fucking toe by 12 o'clock.
You want an elephant toe?
I get your toe, dude.
Elephant toe costs more because it's bigger. Hard to catch.
So,
Well, the Fred Perry guy, I want to mention this, didn't have quite a happy ending like the guy, Travolta's character in this movie.
yeah, he had a far more Hollywood
The
glory.
real life guy?
Yeah,
Did somebody get killed?
he
Because
ended
I
up
read into it a little
going to
bit, didn't see
jail.
it all.
No,
Tell us.
nobody got killed. He ended up going to jail for like 3 or 4 years, and then got out and
He got
started
butt raped.
bowling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He started a what?
No, he went to go work for the bowling company that supplied the bowling supply for his Bowling for Dollars game show. For the Bowling for Dollars game show, which I guess was popular.
Okay. So he got retired drinking beer and bowling. Who wouldn't love that?
His name was Nick Perry, based upon his middle name, Pericles.
Sound like a payoff for doing a dirty deed.
You tell me how to pronounce that name, dude. Cat's famous, dude? I don't know, dude.
Pericles, yeah.
Katsapanis.
Casafanas. I would go with that too.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
I mean, so
there's a lot of cats of fun, everybody here.
The 80s, I mean, this is one aspect of PA, but you had in Philly, you had various Greeks who were involved with the Philly mob. I think there was a guy named Pietros who was involved with the meth trade, early meth trade with the Philly mob, which at that point was in, we'll call it a transitional phase, considering you had two bosses murdered within the first 2 years of the 80s, Angelo Bruno, March 1980, and then Phil Testa, who they did, Bruce Springsteen would give immortality to with Atlantic City. He blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night.
Baby, he was born to run.
Bruce Springsteen's a kid diddler. I'm going to go out on a ledge and go ahead and say he's a kid diddler. He write a song called Hey Baby Girl, Is Your Daddy Home?
I want to dance with you. Your mama's gone. Oh, God.
Well, that was a song that I think got highlighted when Tipper Gore and Susan Baker went after music lyrics with the PMRC. That was one of the songs that they went after for that, with Purple Rain and a couple other issues at the time. But yeah, I remember that song was
financed. Good points are financed by our good friends at the Process Church and the Beach Boys. Charles Manson's friends. That's who financed the BMRC.
If you can't trust them, who can you trust?
You can't trust your local Satanists, or who are you trusting?
All basically involved.
Make good music. Make good music. The devil always did, though.
Weren't they all dating underage girls, the Beach Boys?
Oh,
I bet they said every 60s. I bet every 60s band that had even a chance at being successful was set up, and if you go look at their histories, there were young girls just fed to them so they could compromise it. They never had to call the card on them because they did a national. They did their job. They did their job serving our country in their roles as pop leaders.
A couple things about singers, right? So we got, first of all, Chuck Berry had a 1971, I believe, top #1 hit single in America called My Ding-a-Ling.
Played everywhere.
Bathroom.
He's a convicted kid diddler. He did federal time for sex trafficking.
And he had a
violations of the Mann Act.
Played on radios everywhere too when it came out.
Yeah, he had like a
My man.
at his Kansas City.
You're talking about Kansas City.
They had a different sense of humor back then, JJ, because they had that song, The Streak, where he was mortalizing streaking naked.
We're not going to talk about the legend Ray
Stevens.
Ray Stevens. We're not going to the legend Ray Stevens in the same conversation.
So
okay. When the FBI raided Chuck Berry's, sir, when the FBI raided Chuck Berry's, those Muppets at Quantico raided Chuck Berry's estate there in the 90s to shake him down about Lord knows whatever shakedown was the flavor of the month that month. They stole videos and leaked them to the media of Chuck Berry hiring hookers to fart in their mouth. So let's not
go away, Chuck Berry. I don't care how good your song was.
You could do 6 degrees of pedo shit and rock and roll.
Cocaine Bob Edwards, please.
Well, how about old Ted Nugent, the conservative fucking heartthrob? All those conservatives like to
icon.
And he sang a song called Jailbait. At the same time, he got the guardian rights for a 16-year-old girlfriend to travel with.
Allegedly,
they basically adopted a 16-year-old girlfriend while singing a song about jailbait.
Allegedly, Ted Nugent molested Courtney Love. Allegedly.
Whoa.
Allegedly?
Well, yeah, you can say that.
1976 or...
I mean,
1976, he was 3 years old.
That makes sense. It seems to add up, right?
And he turned her into Courtney Love.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that explains everything now.
I mean, the behind the music of Ted Nugent basically says, like, yeah, it was a pedo, but it's what was it, 1998, 1999? You'd be like, oh, it was a different time. No, it's
Ringo Starr. You're 16. You're beautiful in your mind.
Well, the funny thing about Springsteen writing "Blinded by the Light," he didn't want to write the song. He was obligated by contract and was forced to go back in the studio, and he spent an hour in there, and that's what came out. And strangely, that might be his best song.
Meanwhile, I like Manfred Mann's version better. But
yeah, definitely.
No, for sure.
Manfred Mann sold it. Bruce Springsteen wrote it. Yeah, he was some weird.
That was 76, I think, and that was 78 when Manfred Mann did it, I believe. So
I'll bet if JJ looked into this, he's probably connected to the Society of Cincinnati somehow, Springsteen, because he doesn't make sense as far as.
Lord, I hope not. I hope not.
I know, but you got to look for us. Will you look into that for us?
Whoever propped him up.
Will do, sir.
Because they talk about, who discovered him and, kind of like that whole thing. It wouldn't be a surprise. Is success ever organic? Like that.
Never.
In Springsteen's case, he has 16 band members, trumpets and horns and everybody trying to make him sound good.
The E Street Band is pretty phenomenal.
16 band
Courtney
members.
Cox gets in the Dancing in the Dark video, right? Because her uncle, her stepfather was the brother of Miles Copeland III. He was a Copeland.
Oh.
Miles Copeland III was not only a CIA station chief, a Scientologist. His sons brought us MTV.
Yeah, Miles Copeland, and then what was it? There was another. There was obviously Stewart from the Police, and then the other one was
Ian Copeland. Ian Copeland and Miles number 4.
MI6.
Well, their mother was MI6. He was CIA, OSS.
Yeah, but birds of a feather flock together. I mean, these people are influencing culture.
The process is MI6 and CIA. So if we see the process connections throughout all of that music scene, well, you can start to see where that came from.
So you start to wonder when people like that made the film Nora Ephron, when her husband is Carl Bernstein and Dan Greenberg.
That's what I'm saying, dude. What went down with that?
This other guy, you're like, whoa. Well, she just hanging around a bunch of people. She was married to Bernstein 4 years after Watergate. He was the biggest name in journalism at that. They make, I think 74 the movie comes out, making him a superstar.
The movie, so
3 days, All the President's Men.
So let me just add something. Sorry, Todd.
No problem.
The book comes out. The rights are sold to the movie, to Robert Redford's production company, when the book hasn't even been finished yet.
Yeah.
The book gets finished. The movie comes out in 76. I believe it comes out in 76 because that winds up being.
This is All the President's Men?
Yeah. Jason Robards, who was a recovering alcoholic, gets, I think, Best Supporting Actor for playing Ben Bradley. Now, there's a rabbit hole in and of itself.
Owner of the newspaper, editor.
The editor, right? He's the editor of the Washington Post, right?
Brother-in-law of Mary Pinchot Meyer, who was murdered in 1964 on the towpath in D.C. by the one of the canals, and was JFK's alleged lover. There's. And
didn't we get F. Lee Bailey out of that too? Wasn't he the defense counsel for the alleged accused man who was fishing that day?
No, Ray Crump, the guy who was accused of killing Mary Meyer, was represented by a woman named Debbie Roundtree. Not saying F. Lee Bailey isn't in some form connected. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think he's dancing around that scene because that's right before the Boston Strangler, right? Which was his first big case.
With that whole Mary Meyer murder, there's people who still be like, no, it was Ray Crump. And I was like, no, Ray Crump said he was there because he was having an affair with the married woman. It was like, okay.
Right.
How many people use that as an out? Not many. I don't
Nobody.
think. I mean, someone will come up with something stupid like, oh, fishing's really good around here. They would probably find something not as obvious, I think, but
I'll tell you one thing, sir. I lived in that town for almost 7 years. I would never eat a damn fish out of the Potomac River. I'll tell you that much. Or any of its tributaries.
There's the Courtney
no
Love
eel.
claim.
You're not eating sliced eel or cooked eel or something off the.
That spot where she was murked, though, is not far from the Exorcist stairs. I'll tell you that much right now, my friend. I'll tell you that much right now.
Within
eyesight of each other.
One last Nora Ephron story. So she dies in 2012. She had wrote a what became like a Broadway play called Lucky Guy with Tom Hanks. And it was about a New York journalist named Mike McAlery, who wrote about corrupt cops, particularly Michael Dowd, who was one of the most corrupt cops in New York City history.
Sure.
They did a documentary about him where basically he admits to involvement in a murder, but nothing ever came out of that, surprisingly. But I remember when that movie, when that Broadway play premiered, because my wife and her best friend got to go see it. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, it was great. Tom Hanks. And I'm like, oh, shit, Tom Hanks and Nora Ephron and McAlery, who at one point his career, I think, actually took a turn because I think he might have been fooled by a false story or whatnot. But I said, yeah, Nora Ephron's connections with interesting people. And again,
sir,
very interesting
she was an
people.
intern at the White House for JFK.
Yep, there you go.
Is that real? I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I start looking at these directors, I don't think
you ain't kidding, sir. That is making your point right there. She finds herself in some interesting times with some interesting people.
Yeah,
she was. I mean, a very connected journalist. I mean, don't get me wrong. Made some good movies. Also made some shit ones too. You know.
A great person to launder some money through. Launder some money.
Well, it
maybe
seems
it
like
works,
an
maybe
odd
it
jump,
doesn't.
right? It seems like an odd jump from the White House to Hollywood, but at that very same time, Lyndon Baines Johnson's buddy there, LBJ's buddy, left the White House to go to Hollywood to run the Motion Picture Association of America.
Jack Valenti. Yep.
Yeah.
I knew you'd remember his name, sir. Thank you. Jack Valenti. Yep.
Yep. Well, that's another one of our one of the podcast community has put him in Dealey Plaza, pulling a trigger.
That's right. That's
Again,
right. And he's in the infamous photo, right? He's in the infamous photo, right, with LBJ swearing in. He's in that. He's on Air Force One.
Yeah, I mean, some people said, was he protecting LBJ's memory after, or was he digging? Was he, putting dirt on him? I said, you know what? That's interesting, because when the Men Who Killed Kennedy, that documentary came out, I think it was like a 6-part documentary. They were like, oh, no. Jack Valenti was trying to cut off some of that, sort of allegations against LBJ being involved. And I was like, oh, no, he poured the dirt on him. So Valenti was a interesting guy. I know his name came up in regards to a scheme at one point where Robert Booth Nichols, connected to Danny Castelloro's Octopus, had reached out to Valenti on some sort of scheme he was running. Probably
interesting. Well, that's fascinating because it does have that
Valenti
direct connection
sounds
from DC to
Italian.
the Hollywood,
Is that an
right?
Italian name? Is that Italian?
Valenti? Yes.
Yeah.
Valenti
He
Connected
was
to
a
people
Houston
we should
PR guy,
know?
right?
Valenti was kind of more like a spokesman and stuff, spokesman sort of position, but
Big time.
he was also
Big gay man. Big time
Yes.
gay man, apparently.
Yes, he was also double life. Absolutely.
Double life.
Big time.
Like,
Big time. Love
like-
the gays. Love the gays. He ran motion in MPAA for 38 years. This is who decides if things are getting made in Hollywood. There's a reason why until the movie The Hangover, here's a little Hollywood history, more recent modern history of Hollywood. The movie Hangover was the first R-rated film to make a profit. Right? An R-rated comedy, R-rated comedy to make a profit.
It was
So,
entertaining if you like following around 4 stupid idiots, for a fun
There you
party
go.
night.
Destroyed my life. Going around with these idiots.
Yeah, I know. I guess that's his show.
But that they wouldn't. Hollywood doesn't like to take risks on R-rated comedies like that. So and it's because of the Motion Picture Association of America and their little rule system. Tarantino tries to make every film as violent as possible, like The Hateful Eight. He tried to make the ending the most violent thing imaginable. The most gruesome, bloody thing is because he hates the Motion Picture Association of America. And that's Jack Valenti's been running it. And for 38 years, that was his. I mean, they salute this dude at every Oscar, right? Every
He
Oscar
hates him,
show.
so they
come
give
like
him all the
balls.
contracts, and he makes movies that just hate directed back at the studio that gave him the money.
Well, they used to, I mean, they had the code. They had like the Hays Code. They had all these things that kept movies like Scarface kind of like condensed, kind of like marginalized. They take out the violence. I know Howard Hughes had, kind of, tried to buck the system. But I said, who's to say they ever really went away? They just kind of found another way.
I believe you, Phil, because I always like to go back, and JJ talks about this on occasion. The comic book industry went through a giant censorship program where Puritans rose up and decided to get rid of Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt and all these comic books and create a comic book authority in 1955, similar to the movie thing, where any kind of violence that's beyond what they would allow to have happen won't be producing comics anymore. And it wasn't until about 1970 that they could show people shooting up heroin, or people's skulls or faces melting off because some kind of weird propaganda thing
you
took
can
over.
say the word shit. You just can't show someone shitting. They have weird rules like that.
You can show boobs. You can show boobs half naked, but make sure the line of the shirt goes just down around the boobs.
Here's a beef I have, Todd. Maybe you remember this one. They show you full frontal dick right in your face hole in a PG-13 or PG film, right? In 1980 we watched? What was the one we did? Ghost Story?
Ghost Story.
That was
right in
creepy.
your face hole.
Yeah.
Right in your face hole, dick in your face hole, dude, right in the first 3.5 minutes of the film. And it's PG, dude. So
yeah, you guys did a great job on that Ghost Story. You guys did a great job on that Ghost Story show. I watched that. I'm like, I don't remember seeing an old ugly guy's penis, but when you guys described it, I'm like,
he jumped out of the building, dude. They zoom in on it, dude. They zoom in right on the dick.
Oh, that's the scariest part of the whole show.
I was watching by myself. I was like, I had no one to tell. That's unnecessary. That was just unnecessary.
Ghost Story had a creepy story. It almost sounded real, like something that's really happened. They're showing you something that's probably really happened. That movie reminds you of something they probably done.
I think it's a documentary.
Killed a girl, a bunch of old, decrepit people. Now they're all haunted, killing and raping the girl. I mean, that's what that movie was. It's like Jeffrey Epstein's accusations.
Here's the theory. So, in the 80s, so at one point you have the whole thing with the slasher movies, and you have the final girl. And the final girl is almost always a virgin. So, she has a purity, and they say, oh, is it a moral majority thing? Well, who is the moral majority?
The sluts get killed first. Yeah, the sluts die first, and then they save the virgin for last.
And who is the moral majority occasionally connected to, more than just ideology, but occasionally kind of like money laundering? It's intelligence. So who's to say some of these slasher movies, which, by the way, slasher movies that were total box office poison, but that they made sequels to, aren't money laundering vehicles. I mean,
there you go.
Look at Colombo crime family boss, right? Sonny Franchise, right?
Sonny Franchise, the Perino brothers, who were involved with Bryanston, picture.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
That's who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, sir. That was Sonny Franchise.
Biggest movie of all time, suddenly going to be a box office classic from here on to eternity.
Yep.
But no one made any money from
$17.
Here's the crazy thing when we're talking about that.
No one got paid, though.
No one got paid. Made it for $17. No, just kidding.
Just based off of, I don't know if it's ever been done, but I always wonder if the mob ever bootlegged Night of the Living Dead, considering the fact that movie, when it was released, they didn't include the copyright. There was an error that kept the copyright off it, that made that movie not only consistently bootlegged, but also where George Romero and the production company for years were fighting to get the rights to that movie back. Who's to say the mob wasn't bootlegging it at one point? Or a mob sort of, again,
well, we know the mob does that, right? They bootleg movies. That's one of their big industries.
We also know they don't pay any of their actors. So the guy who played Darth Vader, not James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, the British fella, when he asked for his pay, they never paid him a dime. They actually sent him a bill. They Scientology.
Wow.
They said, look here, we're going to give you the old Scientology technique. We're going to send you a bill.
I like that. We'll turn around.
When George Lucas is worth what, $4 or $5 billion he sold Lucasfilms for, and then it got. But that's what I'm saying. Is he the only guy that didn't get paid? There's probably more guys that didn't get paid, right?
It is so weird to think about the residuals. So just to give an example, and I mentioned him in relation to the Mansons, because at one point he wound up dropping groceries off at the place where the Mansons were staying. Alex Chilton, who was the lead singer of the Box Tops and one of my favorite groups, Big Star.
Give me a ticket on an airplane. Right on time to get a trash train.
He was 16 when he did that song. But
Love that song.
the Street, which was the theme song to that 70s show, which was like Cheap Trick did the cover of it. But it was like every time that show aired, I'd get a check for like $78.
Wow.
But again, that's considering how much in syndication that 70s show would be, and he died without health insurance. But thinking with the fact that the Brady Bunch kids never saw $1 in terms of any reruns, nothing.
Neither did Gilligan's Island, right? All them folks got paid like very limited during the film of the show.
You got to start looking into some of these producers. So that was Sherwood Schwartz, where some of these guys, where that money went, and I guarantee it probably went to either organized crime or intelligence.
You know, there's weird whispers that when an actor dies or an artist, their portfolio becomes worth a lot more money.
I could see that.
You know, there's whispers that this has happened to people.
What are your thoughts on this one? I like Uncle Ted's comment here. MCA was the mob and funded Reagan's entire political rise. They're involved in the Promise software, the Iran-Contra stuff. And it's Lou Wasserman, right? And we see Lou Wasserman here is associated with Nora Ephron.
Yep.
Yeah, where did I go with that?
Lou Wasserman, was a talent agent with MCA. It was him and Jewel Stein. You had a Chicago-Cleveland sort of confluence, right? So there's two great books that really go into it. There is Dan Mulday's Dark Victory, which talks about the MCA and Reagan. And then there's The Last Mogul, which was by a guy named Dennis McDougal. Dennis McDougal died a year or so ago. I think it was a heart attack. And then I think he was like driving. I think he was a heart attack behind the wheel. And The Last Mogul, I remember that movie. I remember that book really, really well because I got that at the same time I got Dark Alliance. So the Gary Webb book. So it was like the same time. And The Last Mogul it mentions MCA being called an octopus. It mentions Danny Casolaro because it gets into Robert Booth Nichols. And with MCA, it gets into the whole thing about, hey, who's this guy who's working in our record division? This guy, Sal Pacello, who Dan Mulday gets into. And who's this other guy who's in the home video aspect, the guy named Eugene Giaquinto. Pacello and Giaquinto both made men in different aspects of the New York Mafia.
Phil, they sound like they're mobbed up. Just even hearing that name, that sounds like a mobbed up Muppet all day long.
Giaquinto,
it became as comical as when during the Clintons, they had the Filegate situation with, hey, who's this guy? Craig, I think his name was like Craig Ferguson, or no, not Craig Ferguson. It was like a guy who turned out to be a bouncer at a fucking like a New York nightclub. Who hired this? Craig Livingston. Who hired this Jabba the Hutt looking guy? Who all of a sudden is asking for access to 900 files of Republicans, and everybody's like, I thought you hired him.
Are you saying he was Phil? Are you thinking he was a great big fat person?
Oh wait, was she a great big fat person?
Wait.
I love that.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, that was the Filegate. But yeah,
I remember Filegate. Yeah, I'm not even mentioned. I do remember that.
But yeah, Craig Livingston, not Craig Ferguson. But yeah, Craig Livingston was this guy, and they were like, they wound up deposing him, and he was like, I don't know. I was just given the job. But I think it eventually led back to not Bill, it led to Hillary. You know, but again, you couldn't mention Hillary without being like, well, she's a woman. That's wrong. And it's like,
one of Nora Epstein's husbands connected to Arkansas too.
Well, one of Nora Ephron's former alumni or fellow alumni from Wellesley College, right? Nora Ephron went to Wellesley, so did Hillary Clinton, right around the same time.
In Arkansas, right at that great moment.
Wellesley, sir. It's an all-girls school. Wellesley.
One of Nora Ephron's best movies is My Blue Heaven, and that's the comedy version of Henry Hill's life in Witness Protection.
That's
where
right.
Henry Hill wanted to sue.
Was she married to Nicholas Pileggi then at that time, I suppose?
So Henry Hill was in Witness Protection. He had already sold his life story, and Nicholas Pileggi was taking down a lot of it. But when Henry Hill was in WITSEC, he was fucking up a lot. You know, he was getting arrested. He was telling people his name. You know, he was a fallen down drunk. This is all before he starts appearing on Howard Stern and talks about how he's having three-ways with, you know, guys.
He's making media appearances.
So Nora Ephron takes some of these comical stories like, yeah, I got married, but I didn't get married under my real name. Like, she takes the comical aspects of Witness Protection, where you take a born and bred Brooklyn Italian and drop them into either Kansas or Seattle. And, you know, I get to live the rest of my life like a schnook sort of
Antics ensue. Comedic antics ensue,
Yeah, and you have Steve Martin.
That's how Goodfellas ends, right? He's Ray Liotta saying, he's like, I ordered spaghetti the other day. I got egg noodles and ketchup.
To be honest, you could end that movie there and then go right to Steve Martin in Freiburg, which is like a suburb of San Diego. And, you know, where he doesn't know if his name is Todd or Terry, you know, with his new wife, you know, what the fuck is the address? I don't know. 123 Street.
One of my favorites is Dan Aykroyd in Neighbors, where they get enough, they gather a bunch of money, and Dan Aykroyd says, I'll go get Chinese food. So he runs next door and starts cooking Chinese food. You remember this scene?
I've never seen Neighbors.
In Neighbors?
I've heard good things.
In Neighbors.
I've never seen it. Never seen it.
John Belushi plays the neighbor.
Yeah.
It was one of the best movies ever made. Best movies ever made. They're total opposites in their characters. And John Belushi's straight-laced, which you wouldn't picture because he was a whacked-out heroin cocaine addict at the time, but he's playing a conservative, straight-laced, tie-crunching neighbor. Dan Aykroyd is the one that's pretending to be a straight-laced neighbor, but he's really nuts. And they gather, they meet, hey, neighbor, and they have a dinner. And he says, how about we do Chinese food? And all right, and everybody, he says, it's $35, Dan Aykroyd. It's $35. So Dan Aykroyd gets money from John Belushi to go get the Chinese food. And instead of buying it from the Chinese food store, he goes next door and cooks it himself. And he puts on the doors. He puts on the doors while he's cooking Chinese food. Dan Aykroyd drops the Chinese food on the floor, picks it back up, puts it in the bowl, gets crazy, and then runs over next door and then presents it as if he just got back from the Chinese food restaurant.
Chinese food, sir. You need some Chinese food. I got some Chinese food for you.
It's one of the most hilarious movies.
Looking like you just got laid off from P.F. Chang's.
What you say?
You got laid off?
What?
P.F. Chang's.
No, I don't work there.
Because you got laid off.
No, you fuck you. You suck a dick.
Me?
Yeah, fuck you.
No, fuck you.
You fuck.
Come on, man.
Fuck your face.
No, fuck your face.
No.
Come on, man. I just want to help.
Fuck you, motherfucker.
Motherfuck you.
Fuck you.
Okay. See you at work.
The city at work gets me every time. Hey, who requested the gay jukebox from Nothing But Trouble? Was that on the menu?
I love that.
Doc, was that you?
No, I think it was Todd.
Okay.
The what?
The gay Tupac from this is Tupac Shakur.
No, I don't remember
role
saying or knowing that. I like Nothing But Trouble, but
back when he was a ballet dancer, right?
gay Tupac. I heard
Days of
Tupac
Juilliard, right?
Yeah.
I did hear that from somebody else.
When he was selling crack on the corners, Juilliard days.
Ballet dancer.
Yeah.
That was when it was him and Jada Pinkett.
Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen as well. Probably was a connection there.
Oh man,
I heard rumors.
If
I never
anyone's
saw
not
the
familiar with that interview, dude. When he's 17, you're talking about his time at Juilliard. I mean, that kid is queer as a $3 bill, dude.
Hey, now there's a guy you want to make into a rap gangster, right? A gangster rapper.
Well, it reminds me. Speaking of the idea of this esoteric understanding of films, if you've ever seen the film, it's a classic. Malibu's Most Wanted, starring Jamie Kennedy.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah.
His father's running for political office,
yeah.
and he hires these two. One of them's a Juilliard trained actor to play a gangster rapper and kidnap his son, B-Rad. Old B-Rad's getting a little out of control.
Oh yeah, B-Rad. Yeah, B-Rad.
Sounds horrible, but go on.
One of the gangster rappers reminds me of Tupac Shakur. I mean, that's his story, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, my name is Tupac Shakur, and I attend Tamalpais High School. And
he's definitely sweet. He's definitely sweet here.
Dude, this guy is so sweet.
And I will beat your ass down if you say one thing bad about me.
Dude, he's sweet as type 2 diabetes, man. He's sweeter.
Honey bun. Sweeter than sweet tea.
Oh, that poor child.
That was before Juice, right? I mean, was that before?
Yeah, that was early, dude.
Way before Juice.
All I want to do dance and they made me do this. No, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Was that around the time
that 1988. That was 1988.
It was probably back when he was being a roadie for like Digital Underground.
Well,
imagine what he saw backstage in those shows. Right? Yeah. Whoa, no. Please don't.
Just to get just a hint of where rap was, just reading something like Labyrinth, the book that was about the Biggie and Tupac shooting, and talking about where like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg were, and where the author, who was Randall Sullivan, talks about the fact that at one point Suge Knight smacked both of them. At one point, I'm like, Dr. Dre, who's like this tough guy, and like,
that's true. He also beat up Eazy-E as well. He beat up Eazy-E as well, and extorted him, shook him down. Yeah,
Eazy-E, that little fella.
You know? Yeah, Eazy-E. Yeah,
you know, another guy that we all know and love. Who's that famous '60s vocal voice? We're gonna fly away, pleasure boat my way. I love it when we're cruising
Frank
together.
Sinatra, dude, my way.
Cruising together.
That was a French film, dude. They kept playing that.
Smokey Robinson, the biggest fucking voice of 1969.
Yeah.
Is being accused of grooming.
Who?
Smokey Robinson.
Smokey Robinson.
Bill Lasky.
What's that song he did? Tears of a Clown. One of the baddest songs ever made. One of the best songs ever made.
Yep, Tears of a
Clown. Man, one of the baddest songs ever made.
He did that campaign in the 80s, Don't Start a Forest Fire. That guy? The same guy?
No, sorry, JJ. We'll wisen you up on that old 60s.
Smokey Robinson. I think you said Smokey the Bear. My bad.
No, you were smoking.
Smoking the meth pipe.
Smoking in the boys.
I'm just saying, there's those accusations. Who's the other guy? The producers of all those rap guys. The big producer of all the rap guys has been accused of being. No, one before them, the earlier one. That was producing.
We want to talk some Epstein stuff. Edgar Bronfman, I believe Jr. was running Warner Music at the time.
Does Rick Rubin have any
connection? Rubin, I think it.
Mr. Process, Rick Rubin, but Edgar Bronfman Jr. was running Warner when he signed Bad Boys for like $500 million.
Bronfman, really? That's interesting.
Bronfman family bought Universal. I think they were at
that's right, from Vivendi or Vivendi or whatever.
Yeah, because that popped up in The Last Mogul. Because the whole thing with Universal was.
Send me that book, sir, and I appreciate your book. You do an excellent job there at the Dewey Decimal.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you, Phil, for showing up and making us look smart.
2002. I mean, how many books can you get that mention name drops Danny Casolaro, name drops the Menendez brothers murder, because at one point when people start worrying that was organized crime, which, well, let's face it, could have been. In the end, it's like, was it really Eric and Lyle so much as it could have been an organized crime hit? They would rather just tell us that it was, two abused kids who decided to off their parents.
Lou Wasserman.
Yeah.
Charles Manson's friend Ira Reiner, his underling Gil Garcetti, and his underling Marcia Clark, the Scientologist.
Well,
that's just
at one
like
point,
in the prosecutor's office at the time.
They referenced, did Lou Wasserman, with his connections, do a hit for, was there an organized crime hit that reached across the political spectrum? And the fact that Bobby Kennedy, not RFK Jr., but Bobby Kennedy called MCA the octopus because of how far they're. Yeah, what were they, just a talent agency? No, they were a company that went from being a talent agent to owning Universal Studios, and were using their talent for that, exclusively for their productions. And it was just so much fun. And like Reagan's involved, like there is this interlocking connections, like, holy shit, like they were onto a point. And then when they get into some of Dan Molday's work with Dark Victory, they talk about Marvin Rudnick, who would lead the investigation in regards to the Sal Pacello. It was Sal Pacello was involved with the records, and it involved cutouts, which were kind of like, these records were selling at cost. And
what kind of records? What kind of vinyl records?
They were called cutouts. So it was kind of like promotional records that were promised to a certain guy, and these mob guys like, hey, take this. You're going to get the Who. You're going to get the Stones. You're going to get this.
Wow!
Like a sampler.
Wow!
Like a sampler.
Fucking low, but what do you call those bootleg records?
Yeah,
bootleg sampler platters.
Can you imagine what kind of cost would be involved to do laying out wax records and bootlegging that? Whoa!
Sampler platter amount of cost.
What he got was Tiny Tim. He got shit, and when he told them he wouldn't pay, they got a guy who was connected to the New Jersey family,
through the tulips.
A guy named Corky Vastola, who was a capo in the Cavalcanti family. The guy broke his face because one of the guys who Corky Vastola was connected to was a guy named Morris Levy. Morris Levy and Corky Vastola would become a composite for Hesh Rabkin in The Sopranos.
Wow.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Was fucking Tiny Tim tiptoe through the tulips a money laundering scheme also? Because they sold them records far and wide.
Tiny Tim was a big part of the money laundering scheme.
Made them a big star.
I'm sure Phil knows about this with Roy Raiden.
He's
part of the Roy Raiden Police Benevolence Association.
Oh, man.
So what happened was, with what they were looking into with the record company was, organized crime involved in, and they had a guy named Marvin Rudnick who would lead an investigation into it, and he was getting stonewalled, and they were like, we don't know who hired Sal Pacello. We don't know what the hell you're talking about.
We don't know who this guy. Who hired this guy?
They made him look like
bud.
And then the next guy who would lead the investigation, a guy named Richard Staben, would be one of Danny Casolaro's sources, because there'd be a connection with Robert Booth Nichols. So this MCA case connects to the octopus. I mean, in the end, the octopus was so sinister. I mean,
Yeah.
you had, yeah.
It was so
Wasserman
sinister. It blew the whole story blew apart. No one followed the threads after that. The threads literally blew apart because that was probably their hottest spot they were in right there, and then you don't hear much after that.
Well, I mean, I didn't realize that even Lou Wasserman connects to Britney Spears and her losing her rights.
Well, how about Casey Wasserman, who was going to lead the Olympic charge for LA, who just had to resign?
That's his son?
Being called to resign.
Is that his son?
Yeah. That is Lou Wasserman's
Get the fuck
kid.
out. That's an Epstein connection right there.
So, I mean...
Thank you, sir. I did not know that was his son. I know who Casey Wasserman is.
With Lou Wasserman, he had his involvement in a lot of things, and they honored him between The Last Mogul and the book Super Mob, which got into Lou Wasserman, but also Robert Evans, aka Shapira, which I did not know.
What was he singing on Robert Evans? What was he saying about him?
Well, no, that, Robert Evans and his brother were connected to this, organized crime group that was so much more above the Italian mafia. What the super mob, now again, Gus Russo, the guy who wrote that book, there are certain things about him I don't like because he adheres to Oswald acted alone, or is Oswald with Castro. He kind of adheres to a mainstream narrative. His mob looks pretty impressive. Super mob kind of pierces the veil of what we know about the mafia to say it's a transnational organized crime. It's not Italians, it's Jewish, it's more than La Cosa Nostra. It's the kosher Nostra. You have to be willing to say, hey, no, the Italians weren't, we're not going to work with these. No, when it came to certain groups like Chicago, it was multinational. It was more than that, especially if they could make them money. How the hell does a guy like Meyer Lansky last? Meyer Lansky died in 1983 of natural causes. He outlived Bugsy Siegel by about 36 years. He outlived Lucky Luciano by about 20.
One of the old founders from way back.
And he outlived Frank Costello, the prime minister of the underworld, by 10 years. So how does a guy like that do it? Just because is he a guy who is, to paraphrase from JFK, able to walk between the raindrops, or is he good at making people money?
I love that line.
He makes people money. And one of the most bullshit stories, so back in 96, I read a book by a guy named Robert Lacey about Meyer Lansky. I forget the exact title. I think Little Man. About Meyer Lansky, and said, Meyer Lansky died broke. And I'm like, I was 15, and I'm like, bullshit. I said, you're telling me this guy who knew so many odds and ends, lost everything in Cuba, yet he still at one point had interest in casinos in Vegas, and he just let it go? I said, no, I don't think so. And then when stories came out about his right-hand man, a guy named Vincent Allo, Jimmy Blue Eyes was his nickname, which was the inspiration for Johnny Ola in Godfather 2, played by Dominic Chianese, junior soprano, said he had at least he had a gold coin worth at least a few $100,000. No, Meyer Lansky died with money. He just hid them in the right spots. This is
he owned the Jimmy Porter Paint Company, right? In the whole Resorts International.
Yeah, no. Meyer Lansky did not just pick up stakes after 59 when Castro took over. He didn't, he had Vegas involvement. His brother Jake, I know, was connected to a lot of other partnerships. Meyer Lansky would never have been the guy. He knew when to kind of pull back. I mean, in the end, he had to give the okay for Bugsy to get.
Notice how today
I can bring this full circle. I'll go ahead, Todd. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, I was going to say, notice how today, Phil. There's a large, the Cuban influence in that Kennedy assassination thing. There's a large power center down in Florida, which is the line between Cuba and the United States, Florida. there's so many characters coming out of there. They're
Seems
all
like
down
Long
there.
Beach, where Lansky lived, there in the Miami regions, at least there's a
Miami. Sorry, and just to add, Todd and JJ, Miami was an open city, so Miami was prime. Even though Lansky's stepson would get gunned down in Miami, I think it was in '72, but I think in the end it was just kind of cost of business sort of situation. It wasn't his blood; it was step kid. But yeah, no.
Florida is like Texas, is like Arizona, is like California, is a border state. That all the stuff that comes that these people are involved in that run our world, the secret intelligence groups, boy, they thrive in these border states. Florida, California, Arizona, Texas, all the biggest things. NASA's over in Texas. NASA's over in Florida, or the space programs.
Yep.
Why? Because it's closer to the equator, down there on the 33rd parallel. If you ever looked at that, also closer to the border. Also, 300 miles in from the border, they can seize and search all your stuff. National security gives them permission to take all your.
That right now, dude. You sit over in America, you ain't got no rights, friend.
Well, in America, yeah, everybody's spying on you everywhere. But my wife's calling me. Hold on, gentlemen, you're right back.
There's no repercussions for taking people's shit.
Well,
I guess I ran Todd off. Todd's chair. How do you feel about these allegations of me running Todd off? No, Todd's chair. No, okay.
With Lansky, I've heard Paradise Island, and Paradise Island, I've heard John Walsh, because Megan Walsh.
Yeah, right.
I wish so many more people could get a hold of Megan Walsh with what she has to tell, but
well, I mean, it's an interesting thing to consider. You know, there's a lot of if you looked at the board member for the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, it gets very creepy very fast. Megan Walsh makes some good points, some strong suggestions of some real dark Muppet acts. But as far as Lansky goes, did you know Anton LaVey was a young man with his uncle, a made man Chicago Jewish mafia? And he was associated. He met Lansky, and he was involved in the opening of the Flamingo Hotel out there in Las Vegas.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, Blanche Barton is Anton LaVey's second wife. Writes about it in the autobiography that she writes for Anton LaVey. Still not figure. Leave it to a Satanist to write an autobiography for somebody else. But you'll have it.
Well, I think it was last year. It might have been last year. I had read a book about. It was a fictional book about Virginia Hill, and Virginia Hill was, oh my God! So everyone just says, like a mole, like not a mole like an MOLE, but like a mole, MOLL. And she was privy to so much information, and she was such a, she was Bugsy Siegel's girlfriend, but she was also like involved with Joe Epstein, who was a mob accountant for the outfit. And I think she might have been involved with Joe Adonis, who was like deported and, was, intricate into the mob's kind of.
He was a capo, huh?
Yeah, capo, deported. Now, so here's the thing. And this is something I think I might have said to you, but I might have said to Nick too on Occult Rejects, is for the amount of mafia literature that is out there. There are books that are 100% genuine. There are books that are books that are maybe 50-50, and then there are books that have be based on a true story, like a Hollywood, adaptation.
Like Lucky Numbers, right? Lucky Numbers.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm kind of like, okay, because I read I think it was called like The Last Will and Testament of Lucky Luciano. And it's by a guy named Martin Gosh and a guy named Richard Hammer. And Gosh was supposedly, not to be confused with Johnny Gosh, but
I was about to say, any relation to Johnny Gosh?
As far as I know, no. But Martin Gosh was supposedly set to be, Luciano was going to tell his story. So Luciano dies 1962 on the way to meet a Hollywood filmmaker to tell his story and dies of a heart attack. So
shit. That's convenient,
the last will and testament comes out in 1975. I read it probably, I was in college. So like somewhere between 98 and 2002, I'd say midpoint in between. And yeah, there's some interesting information, but they also push the night of the Sicilian Vespers story. The one where...
Oh, I don't know that one. Doc's well versed in Italian stuff too there, Phil, so he might know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's on top of his shit. I like Doc, you know? I mean, you always have good people, though. So I'm all in. So the story of the Night of the Sicilian Vespers is after the end of the Castello Marese War, which is where Lucky Luciano...
That's Joe Gallo, right? Joe Gallo murks Costello, right?
No. No, this is in the 20s. This is in the 20s in New York. Yeah.
Oh.
So,
that's Albert Anastasia then, right?
Anastasia's there. So the Castello Marese War was before Luciano, before the establishment of the five families. So it's a little bit before and a little bit after. So the culmination is 1931. The war had been going on for about 3-4 years, and Castello Mare del Golfo is a region in Italy. And the whole thing was, okay, if you're not from this area, you're not true, let's say Cosa Nostra, you're not true mafia. And you had Salvatore Maranzano going up against Joe the Boss Masseria. And you had Luciano, you had Bonanno, you had Costello, you had all these guys. Supposedly, Masseria didn't like the Lanskys, the Dutch Schultzes. He didn't like the ethnics involved.
Yeah.
And Maranzano was kind of like okay with it. Good to have you back, Doc. We were just talking about.
Let me ask you actually an interesting question, Phil. I don't actually know a lot about the early mafia in America, but when did it make its transition from like the Black Hand into like more of the five families? Because it started out kind of as this informal street gang, from what I understand, kind of like Italian sort of slums. Italians were kind of rising from the slums, doing the typical thing that most ethnics, when they come to America, and yes, the Italians were ethnics, they weren't considered white per se, rising up from the gutter, rising through the ashes. What were they doing to like, when did that transition happen?
So a lot of people kind of put it at, so you had the five gangs, right? The 5 points, right? In
the 5
York
points.
City. So, and again, 5 points was Italians, you had Irish, you had Jewish, they were all a mix. But when they truly started getting organized was in relation to Prohibition. And so when Prohibition kind of got started, so like you had something like Chicago, right? Where
nothing gathers people together closer than trying to cut off their drug supply.
Yeah, so with Chicago, you had a guy like Big Jim Colosimo, who was the boss, but it was mostly known for kind of being a pimp. But meanwhile, like you had guys like Al Capone and Johnny Torrio, who were kind of like lieutenants or whatnot. Meanwhile, Capone was initially from Brooklyn, the 5 Points area, tutored by a guy named Frankie Yale, who later on he'd order his murder. And they were like, Colosimo is not seeing the potential from what bootlegging could be, how you could kind of push against Prohibition. So they, Capone and Torrio engineer Big Jim Colosimo's assassination. Now, when you had New York, everyone's like, Black Hand is extortion. You had guys like, what was it? I'm thinking of some of the names. I think Vincent Morello. You had Ciro Terranova, the Artichoke King. You had kind of like loose, disparate type of people. They weren't as organized. And some said later on,
the Artichoke King.
Yeah, the
Artichoke sound dangerous.
Not to be confused with.
They love their artichokes. Lots of them on salads.
What about the Eggplant King? How about that?
Yes.
Oh, man. You didn't get the artichoke right, they shot you.
With I think the Black Hand was from some of the things I've read separate, because they talk about what was it? There was the cop. His name. They actually made like a tribute to him. There was a cop who.
He busted them, right? He busted the Black Hand.
And then got killed out in Italy, actually.
Yeah.
And his name at this point is escaping me, and it sucks because I know the name.
Did they do a movie about this? Did they do a movie?
I'm just listening. I'm learning
It's
a lot
not
here.
the I mean, later on, it was Chiazze. If you know that name, this guy, there's a guy named Chiazze that goes back to the years of lead, but that's like in the 70s where he actually got gunned down.
Well, not even. I mean, and then later on, you had Borsellino and Falcone after the Maxi trials. You know, the judges. I mean, the excellent cadavers. But what happened was, I think the Black Hand and what became the mafia kind of got commingled. I mean, even in The Godfather, they talk about the Finucci, the one who Vito Corleone kills, is Black Hand. But it's not.
Something I want to say about The Godfather.
Aside from the noise an Italian makes when sneezing, what is this word? What is going on?
It's the Drangheta. The Drangheta.
How dare you?
The Drangheta.
Well, because you have that, you have the Camorra.
Phil, we're always reminded. Pardon me for interrupting here for a second.
Yeah,
we're always reminded. Go ahead, doctor.
No. What I'm saying is, I want Phil to take it away with the Drangheta.
I just say Future. Can I just call you Dr. Future?
I mean, man, it doesn't matter at this point.
Okay.
But I like I'm quite honest with you.
Not Jesus.
I know. But no, the Drangheta, I actually have a question for Phil about this, because I do know about the Drangheta, but I kind of want him to take it away. The thing is, I heard about a lot of the early organized crime in Italy is that the Bourbons, during the time of the Bourbons, Freemasonry was kind of brought to Italy. And there's like this, I believe this early Freemasonic sect called the Good Cousins, and then they were called the Charcoal Burners. And then this like kind of got conflated into like some of the organized crime in southern Italy. So what I'm trying to ask here is, how much is there a Freemasonic?
Exactly.
Yes, the Charcoal Burners. My question is, how much of a connection did the Freemasons kind of have to the early sort of like organized crime? It was kind of informalized because then like it got rid of a lot of the degrees and it was more formalized, more in an informal setting in Italy as opposed to. But that's my question for you about because I know that the Drangheta are heavily Masonic. So go ahead.
When it comes to the Italian mafia, I mean, in Italy, and the Masonic lodge, all I can think of is Propaganda Due, P2, which only got exposed in the 80s, and there was kind of a connection between that and what would kind of be, truth be told, like the neocons. You know, I remember one of the names that got mentioned was a guy who popped up, and I think passed only within the past couple of years, in the Reagan administration, Michael Ledeen, who'd be involved with Iran-Contra and, those circles. But in terms of what we commonly know as, organized crime in the Italian mafia in the United States, never really saw much of a connection.
No, not in the United States, but in Italy. In Italy, I'm just saying the deep prehistory of it.
Well, we get the connection from Propaganda Due to Cocaine Bob Evans and his boss Charles Bluedorn. Yeah, Charles Bluedorn and Michele Sindona were connected.
Thank you, JJ.
Of course, I was actually going to go into Michele Sindona.
Michele Sindona and the Poison Cup of Coffee.
Yes.
We'll be discussing that next week here on Godfather 3 and Occult and Esoteric Review. For all three of you gentlemen back for this next weekend as well as more.
It does reenact the execution.
Wow, Lord, you couldn't pull me away from that one.
I mean,
Mario Puzo put that in there, by the way. The Italian banker that got
Part 3 is probably the worst, but the most filled with all their propaganda and garbage.
It does suck. It does suck. I won't deny it.
Well, I'll just give a quick Nora Ephron, Nicholas Pileggi sort of combination. So, Wise Guy, the book about Henry Hill that Nicholas Pileggi wrote, when they talk about when Henry Hill gets arrested, one of the things they question him about is a death connected to Michaela Sindona.
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
I know that.
Wise Guy came out. Yeah, Wise Guy came out in 1980. Oh my God! So that came out in 1986. I got it. I got it as a Christmas gift. I want to say 96, and I loved it, and it had connections because some of the stuff took place in. Yeah, I swear to God.
Michelle Sindona, really?
I've never read it, so I got to read it, I guess.
Wow.
It was Wise Guy's history of the, history of the month, but
it's what Goodfellas is based off of.
Paul Barrio. So in the movie, Paul Sorvino's character, Paulie Cicero, but Paul Barrio was his real name. He lived in Island Park. Island Park was 5 minutes from where I lived. Those guys were there. Henry Hill burnt down the nightclub, the OBI West, which was in Island Park, which was the night he burned it down. Thank God my dad wasn't there because my dad worked for the OBI West, and he was on a date with my mom, so that worked out. Paul Barrio was good friends with Senator Alphonse D'Amato, who's still alive, and there's a lot of interesting connections. One of the best scenes, one of the best foreshadowings of what's going to happen to Paulie is when he's talking to Henry and he's talking about, about drug dealing. And he's like, I'm not talking what you did inside. You did what you had to do. He's like, I'm talking about now. He's like, Gribbs is going to die in the joint, for, saying hello to someone who was dealing heroin behind his back. Ain't going to happen to me. Because in the end, Henry's dealing drugs. And off that, Paulie winds up going to jail for the rest of his life and dies, even though in the end it's like not even 10 years, as opposed to Jimmy Burke, who dies off Henry's testimony for, I think, drug dealing, if not a murder, because Jimmy Burke was a psychopath who was killing everybody involved in the Lufthansa case. But that was an excellent foreshadowing of what would happen. And the biggest psychopath was Tommy DeSimone, who, even though Joe Pesci is legendary for it, Joe Pesci is not even close.
He's a shrimp.
Tommy DeSimone is my height more than Joe Pesci.
And he was very muscular too. Yeah. He was very muscular, very roided up, probably.
Oh yeah.
Who was his brother? Didn't he have family? I mean, he obviously had family in the family here, but like, didn't he have some other notable mobster family, right?
Tommy DeSimone was connected. He had two brothers who were in the mob, another one who was murdered, another one, Bobby, who was connected to the Gambinos, who wasn't murdered.
There we go.
Was connected to an LA boss, Frank DeSimone.
There we go, Frank DeSimone. That's right. He was running the LA mob for a while, right? That's right.
The so-called Mickey Mouse Mafia. Which was coined by Daryl Gates, actually.
JJ, who was the mob guy that played in that Tom Hanks, Dan Aykroyd movie that played the thug?
Oh, criminal? I think that was Bill Blacksky.
Jack Halloran.
That looks like one of these guys.
Jack Halloran?
The guy they based that movie image off of, or whatever.
Hey Phil, who was that guy you said again? Who was that guy you said again that was connected to Iran Contra? That was with the P2 Lodge.
Michael
You mentioned the guy. Yeah.
How do you spell that? Medine?
Michael Ledeen, Ledeen.
Okay. So
I don't know him either. So yeah, that's a new one for me.
Well, I see someone.
I see though.
I see someone mention Geraldine Ferraro's husband. Geraldine Ferraro's husband, I think, might have been connected to Roy DeMeo through like a 6 degrees of separation.
And we know DeMeo was that one nutball that look like
DeMeo, I suspect was a member of the Process, the Son of Sam code. He's a made man of the same year where he looks like a sketch from the Son of Sam drawings. There was in '77, I think he was made that year, right?
Yeah, Roy DeMeo was actually from the same area as the Baldwin brothers. I mean, in terms of where he
graduated with
Massapequa.
DeMeo graduated high school with Bernie Sanders. They were in the same graduating class.
Yep.
So there's
noted to have done work for the CISMI, which was an intelligence agency to which they changed over because of the corruption that was in the SID and some of the SFAR.
So is that in connection to the P2 stuff? Is it through that?
Yeah. The CISMI, the SFAR, and also the early people like Vito Michelli. Excuse me for the name. I can't pronounce it very well.
Pino, how do you spell Pino?
Good, dude. I was about to say that sounded pretty good to me.
Yeah, Michelli. He was one of the intelligence agents that was allowing a lot of the fascists in Italy to get away with a lot of the bombings, and tried to case up one of the Red Brigade people that I was looking into, which his name was Buscetta.
Americans don't have a lot of history. Americans don't have a lot of history of the communist capitalist fights or whatever that took place over in Europe. The Spanish Civil American War and all this weird stuff. They don't understand the communists.
Very interesting. Yeah, the years of letter are very interesting when it comes to that. There you go, William Colby.
Yep. Fucking Bill Colby, dude. Why not, right? Always comes back to Bill Colby.
And Claire.
Well,
Claire
if you're going to be a psychological warfare warrior,
Claire
you might as well.
Who's that?
Claire Sterling would write a book about
the domestic terrorist researcher.
She'd write a book about that was connected to the pizza connection. So like a book that was adjacent to that.
She's full of shit. She's full of shit.
Yeah.
She was a big deal for the Reagan administration. She basically said everything was coming through the Soviet Union when there was no evidence. It was coming through the Soviet Union. So every time she would say the communists are basically going out and doing all the terrorist attacks.
All you had to say was Bill Casey gave it a thumbs up. The guy who said their CIA's disinformation program would be complete when the American people didn't know their asshole from a hole in the ground. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Well, so one of the books I read years ago was by a guy named Richard Taus. Richard Taus was a FBI agent who would find connections with Iran-Contra on Long Island, and he alleged that aspects of the pizza connection connected to Iran-Contra, and kind of indicated Louis Freeh, who was the eventual FBI director, but would prosecute aspects of the pizza connection case where Tommaso Buscetta's testimony would become very important.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean,
he was a prosecutor in that, wasn't he?
Yes. And the Corleonese who would come up in regards to be honest, Godfather 3 were the ones who wiped out a good portion of Tommaso Buscetta's family. They wiped out his kid, a few of his kids. I mean, it became like a Kaiser Soze. It became a Kaiser Soze thing where it's like wiping out.
I missed the comment. Sorry.
His kids, his sister, people who owed him money. Like,
sure,
I think
that is very Kaiser Soze-esque.
Yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt Phil there. Sorry, sir, but our channel's up to its usual Muppet games. I hope no one is dumb enough to swallow JJ's Colby Squares fantasy. Well, sir, you tell your fellow Muppet friends in Atlanta to try harder next time.
JJ's Colby Queers fantasy. That's not a movie.
Yeah, it's only right in your face, dude. He's literally connected to every Muppet act in American history in the last 50 years.
I'm going to make a box office hit today. Colby Queers, yay!
Yeah.
Oh,
get
your bucket of soap out, RR. Start washing them balls, Bill Colby. Let's hear it.
I want to say one thing real quick. Phil, you seem like you're really interested in like Italian history, and you're looking at the years of lead, and you're looking at the way that they dealt with the mafia in Italy. They kind of dealt with them in the same way. They would get these people to flip, which they called the pentiti. And they would have them basically flip on people, and then they would send these like fake people that have these fake pedigrees, like Silvio Gariano, I think it was called Brother Machine Gun, who was like this fake sort of leftist Marxist revolutionary guy from Bolivia. They sent him in the Red Brigades, and like he just totally got both Renato Corcio and also the one guy Alberto Francisi, and they totally just flipped them the same way they did the mafia. So it's kind of interesting on the way that they sort of dealt with some of the people in the years of
Every man has his
and
price.
And they dealt with like the people in the mafia kind of the same way. It sort of parallels one another.
When I read what was his name, Alexander Still's Stille's Excellent Cadavers, and they talk about the sort of mountain that Giovanni Falcone and Paolo Borsellino had to climb, and they didn't know who to trust. It's scary. And as an Italian, I'm half Italian, half Irish. As I read these stories, I'm like, it just, you take it on. Like, there's a certain aspect where I'm like, these guys are brave people, and I think they knew what they were facing. But when you realize, like, no matter what results you get, I mean, what Falcone and Borsellino were able to get was the Maxi trial. The Maxi trial was one of the we had the commission trial in the United States.
Right.
The commission trial wasn't even 12 people. The Maxi trial was 300, pardon the language, fucking mafiosi, where they got constructed a bunker.
Yeah, they took down the whole operation, like the whole entire operation. You don't see that happen very often.
Yeah, no. Imagine if we went after 80% of our deep state or whatever.
I took note of that. I took note of that.
Film, find me guilty.
No, that was the Lucchese family in 1988, 89. That was of a guy named Jackie DiNorcio, and that was a shit show for the government, but it's a good movie. And that was Sidney Lumet. Not a bad movie. Not a bad movie. It was based on.
Notice how, Phil, the government got a win on this one, huh? The prosecutors got a win. Hey, we got him. We wrapped up all these 300 fucking guys. That sounds like a mop-up operation to me, like an operation that they're done with, and it's time to arrest the people they don't want around anymore and set up the next job.
They sort of got it, but yet at the same time, so the group that was considered the hillbillies was the Corleones. The Corleones,
lower down the social status or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they minimized them, but they were the most powerful. But they kept it quiet. That's how you get guys like there was a guy named Salvatore Toto Riina, and you had a guy named Leo.
Oh yes, that guy was a monster. That guy was a monster.
You had farmers, but yet at the same time, they were like Carlo Gambino. How did they exercise power? Quietly.
Rini was scary though.
Oh yeah, they're not making a big scene. They're not making a big scene. It's just
the other guy's name, Bernardo Provenzano. These guys were scary. I mean, they could bring the government to their knees, but then again, this is what we're told. Same thing with, hey, who's the boss of the Gambino family? John Guffey. Okay. Well, that's what we're being told.
The Valachi papers.
Yeah. Or
the Valachi.
Who's the boss of the Genovese family? Oh, well, the commission trial told me it was Fat Tony Salerno. And then 10 years later, it's like, it's Vinny the Chin. Fat Tony.
Yeah, Vinny the Chin. I love Vinny the Chin.
And so, yeah, guess what? Whatever we're being told, it's not what it is. Like, there's always a guy, like, I'm going to go swingers. It's the guy behind the guy.
Hey, Phil, just by coincidence, they get the best director, the best writer, the best story to produce the Godfather series. And they drill into your brain all these characters. And by the time Godfather 3 comes around, you know everything you ever wanted to know about the mob, supposedly. And you're just going to move on and say, the government got them, right?
Yeah.
So
That's kind of the approach to it. Like, oh, that's old shit.
clean up now.
Old shit.
That's
Cleaned up
why
now.
when we're talking about Meyer Lansky, so when I read Daniel Hopsicker's Barry and the Boys, he mentioned a guy named Alvin Malnick. And he's like, yeah, Alvin Malnick took over for Meyer Lansky. And it's like, I've never heard Alvin Malnick before. And he's like, yeah, no. Right. He's like, Robert Lacey's book, kind of a smokescreen. And it's like, shit. And meanwhile, like Hopsicker Hopsicker passed a few years ago from cancer.
Rest in peace.
Sad. Yes, he was good. He exposed Steve Bannon. He said Steve Bannon was involved in some nefarious shit. So you have to consider these things. And it's like, no matter who, and again, I will give credence. I'll never badmouth anybody who's given me information, but you have to be willing to look. Don't just go with, hey, I read a book about this guy. Well, shit, did you read another one? I mean, what does the bibliography have?
Did you look any deeper? Yeah. Did you look any deeper?
Wait a second. You mean to tell me this Malnick character is essentially Brett Ratner's father, the underling of Bob Cocaine Evans and friend of Jeffrey Epstein?
Oh, no.
Brett Ratner.
And Brett Ratner, those movies sucked. Thanks for the Rush Hour movies. They sucked.
Well, his name says it all, Ratner. His name says it all, Ratner.
Well, Ratner and our former U.S. Treasury Secretary and Skull Bonesman Steve Mnuchin brought most Warner Brothers pictures to your face holes for the last 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah. In your face, it's the rats, their nerves.
Phil, you mentioned
Bob
Reaney.
Cocaine Evans, sir. That's his protege.
You mentioned Reaney. Didn't he move a lot of heroin in and out of Sicily at the time?
Yeah. So the Corleonesi went from, so one of their big money makers was cigarettes, but at a point, now some people connected to, I think it was 1957, where Joe Bonanno had a certain meeting with the Sicilians, especially, because later on the Bonanno family would become kind of like the conduit for heroin trafficking.
Yeah.
And I think it was called like the La Palma meeting. And later on you had what they called the Zips, which was kind of like a quote unquote derogatory term for the Sicilians who'd be imported. You had guys like Cesar Bonventre and Baldassare Amato, who later on turned the triggers against Carmine Galante in 1979. They were importing heroin, or they were kind of like the point men for that, which kind of, that Donnie Brasco would kind of, it'd be a little bit of reference to that. But kind of guys
based on
the Sopranos, Furio would be called.
Oh yes. Even though he was Neapolitan, he was a Southern Italian, not really a Sicilian.
Well, the Gambinos, they had what they called the Cherry Hill wing of the Gambinos. Cherry Hill, New Jersey, a guy named Rosario Gambino, John Gambino, a couple of which I think Roger Clinton was involved with an attempt to pardon. He tried to give money to Bill.
Oh, he was doing the pay for pardon. He was the point man on that. You're right.
A little bit of the paper play, a little bit of the Rod Blagojevich sort of way of things to go.
Yeah,
but, you know,
they call it the Chicago two-step, sir.
Yeah, with Salvatore Toto Riina, and then later on this. I mean, the Corleonesi were the true force of the Sicilian mafia. First, it was Luciano Leggio, who exercised a lot of his power behind bars. And then it was Salvatore Toto Riina, Bernardo Provenzano, Leoluca Bagarella. And I still think they hold a good amount of power. But the whole perception of who wields power is conveyed by the media and law enforcement. What do we know? It's what they tell us.
Mostly by rats and informants.
Yeah, the grassers. That's another term they like to use. The grassers. You know,
back to Franklin National Bank, huh? The Gambinos had a close relationship with.
Oh, there we go. Giulio Andreonetti, and who got in?
Yep.
Who basically got in also in trouble. Giulio Andreonetti, who got in trouble for a mafia scandal with the Ndrangheta and the Gomorrah.
Yep.
Allegedly, also was involved in Aldo Moro's kidnapping. The fact he didn't pay the ransom.
Yeah, the Red Brigades. Yep.
Yeah.
Some wild stuff. Well, gents, I think we're going to call it in here on this tonight's tale, but more on this mafia stuff next week with the Godfather 3 here. Let's pass it around for some closing thoughts, commentary, suggestions, baking recipes that are only linked to the lucky numbers. If it's a baking recipe not linked to tonight's film, save it for later, sir. Todd the Wizard, why don't you kick us off here with some wizard commentary and closure here for.
Oh, thank you again for inviting me on what I consider to be the best, coolest show going. JJ, your mind, man.
Thank you, sir.
Bring it together, put on a great production. Always good to get together with Dr. Future.
The Doctor Inferno, sir.
Inferno.
Doctor.
I think I'm predicting you into the future. Dr. Inferno.
I like Dr. Future.
Yeah, I'm getting you in. Yeah.
My alter ego.
Yeah. At least not like Dr. Past. At least not calling you Dr. Past. Inferno.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm thinking future, because the skull and crossbones, the death symbol. The Reaper.
Clock. Maybe you didn't see the clock in there.
Come on, baby, don't fear the Reaper.
No, we're doing
baby, take my hand. Oh, yeah. I listened to them earlier. Thank you, JJ, for inviting me on your show. I love Phil, and I love Dr. Inferno.
Hell yeah, we love you.
Next time you come on, I'm gonna sing that song. Burn, baby, burn. Cisco Inferno. Cisco Inferno.
All right, well, Todd, I appreciate the kind words, and I appreciate your commentary, sir. Phil, did you have any closing thoughts, statements, baking recipes you'd like to share here on tonight's film? Lucky numbers.
You know what? It's not a bad movie. I mean,
it's not.
It's
a mediocre masterpiece, I would say.
Michael Rappaport sucks, but
yeah, he does.
Still does today. In fact, still sucks today.
When he did McDonald's commercials, it made me sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh God, come and get a McMuffin. Oh
Bill
God.
Pullman and Tim Roth. I mean, come on.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, sir. Well, as always, I appreciate your time and discourse. You do some excellent work there at the Dewey Decimal Agency, and I appreciate your service here at Operation GCD. Look forward to more of this mafia discussions with Godfather 3 next week. And last but not least, Dr. Inferno, paging Dr. Inferno. You're wanted.
I'm here. You page me. Let me say this movie might not be a masterpiece, as you said. It definitely is mediocre, but surprisingly, it is entertaining, and it does illustrate how like corruption kind of functions, and I think that's what's most important about the movie. It's also a comedy of errors with all the criminals and everything just bumbling over each other and just foiling themselves at the end. And I have to say, even though I don't like Lisa Kudrow, I really don't even like John Travolta. Lisa Kudrow definitely knows how to play an airhead gold digger. And I was to that. That's
Romy and Michelle's high school reunion there's another film. Why'd they make that? What is that?
She's been typecasted. She didn't get hired for her acting skills, sir.
Right.
She did Harvey Weinstein. I'm sorry.
I'm totally not surprised that Michael Moore plays the creepy cousin.
Yeah, the creepy cousin having a masturbation conversation with his cousin.
Great point, JJ. Great point, JJ.
And I would say thanks for bringing me on and watching this movie, forcing me to watch this movie. And,
yes, sir.
It's been interesting.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate all your gents' time and discourse and conversations. Thank you all for your insights. I learn something new from each one of you every time we have these conversations. So I was just all ears. I don't know much about all this mafia stuff, so y'all are informing me on all this stuff there. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Phil, Doctor.
And tune in next week for more mafia stuff.
Thanks, everybody.
Tune in tomorrow for some Anatomy of Satanic Panic. Yes, sir. Thank you. And in the meantime, yes, sir.
Joseph Petrosino. I could not remember the name of the cop who was killed by the Black Hand. Joseph Petrosino.
All right, there we go.
Oh, I do that. Like a week after I came on.
The guy that was involved in the Lotto scandal was not Fred Perry, the guy who designed the skinhead attire that was very popular like in the 70s and 80s. It was Nick. It was Nick Perry. Nick
Perry. Different Perry.
JJ, I finally remember the guy I was trying to remember, Robert Groden, that wrote the book High Treason, the JFK author. Weeks later, I remember the guy I was trying to mention in the story.
And also, JJ, I want to thank you for making the most anointed crossfire ever.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you said that. It's been kind of my aim to do something in that
I
regard.
like that.
So I like where you're at.
Crossfire times 4. Love that.
Yeah. No, I like it. I should wear a bow tie like Tucker Carlson did on Crossfires.
Well, fun. There you go.
They had that one guy.
But you're better looking than that guy.
They had actually CIA spook on there too when it first started.
I just said that. Tucker Carlson, CIA spook. Yeah, sure.
No. The Baden guy as well. The guy who looks like a corpse.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now. What's it?
Baden.
Bill Blatsky.
Oh, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Oh, is that his name? Okay.
He looks like a corpse. He's
Hey, Tom had nothing to do with this shit. Yeah.
8 is enough. Tom Brady.
He was not. He was CIA as well.
No. His story, 8 is enough. That was Tom Brady. The TV
I hate that movie.
Yes.
Hate that show. Latest show. That's a money laundering TV show right there. It is horrible.
Well, there's never enough money.
8 actors have to pay too much money for a bad production.
Well, on that note, tune in tomorrow night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, folks, of the interwebs. The Anatomy of the Satanic Panic, and in between now and then, watch out for lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Gunderson's down. They got dead.
I was shot 3 times.
Well, that's it. That's the show here, folks. So the next time you're out on the town, visiting your local watering holes, or perhaps just meandering around, and you hear the unmistakable sounds of metal clanking, and you spot signs of a disturbance, but check your 6. Look in that garbage can, 'cause you never can tell. The GCDs may be loose in your town.